asking, do I have much room on my C drive? Do I have any room on my C drive? Got loads of room on my C drive. Sick. Okay, man. Pretty simple sign today. I was just thinking about the impeachment efforts. I was reading the current articles of impeachment. There's 13 of them. 13 charges. I still think it'd be good to have an impeachment, even though he wouldn't be convicted. If we can get the House to start an impeachment, obviously, I'm a person who thinks that public discourse around Trump's misdoings is a good thing and can do good for the public understanding how bad a character he is. And I think impeachment trials are good for that because it forces national attention on the crimes of the president, even if he's not convicted, because, we have so many traitors in the Senate. Anyway, just hit live, so I'm just going to say hello to Bill, Butch Arnold, Glowing Mars, DJ Piecemeal. I put a story out on Instagram. I don't always do that when I go live. I'm curious if we get people hopping over from Instagram, because my Instagram is really, really just cooking away right now. I've almost doubled my following on there in like the last week, which is very, very exciting. And funny enough, this week, it doesn't even have anything to do with the altercation I was involved with Savannah Hernandez and Minnesota Angry Man. It's that I had a debate clip on Monday. It was literally on Sunday. I was talking to some guy about how he was telling me nobody watches my lives, which is false. And I was saying, like, dude, on Instagram, like, millions of people watch them. I get videos that have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of views. It's like a big deal to me that so many people are interested in what I'm doing. But I said, I remember saying, I don't think I have any debate clips that are over 1 million views. Now I do, because I have a debate clip that has 1.7 million views, where a guy's asking me how we're going to pay for healthcare, and I tell him we're going to stop bombing children in Iran. And in the actual 67-minute call that is posted to YouTube of me talking to that guy, I actually went on to give like a more nuanced, less like slam dunk gotcha answer on it, which wasn't defunding the military, because that's not my strongest argument for how we're going to pay for healthcare. It's taxing the wealthy. The guy just couldn't understand that the people who benefit from the healthcare are not the people we're going to tax to pay for it. He was like, well, you're going to give us healthcare, then we're going to get taxed to heck for it. And I'm like, no, you aren't. Elon Musk is. Jeff Bezos is. Mark Zuckerberg is. Like a bunch of assholes that you've never heard of who've donated so much money to politicians doing things that are bad for you. Those people. We're going to tax those people. Hashtag For You page. Glad to hear it. I don't know anything about TikTok. I'm like new at this. I literally made my account I made my account like ages ago to plant the username, but I like downloaded the app to my phone for the first time in January, I think, when I started making content. And I didn't know it was so hard to get to the For You page. So like, yay. What is the left's fascination with robbing people? I have no. Do you think that taxation is robbery? Do I need to explain the diminishing marginal utility of currency again? Maybe if you hit the request button and ask me that question with your voice, I will answer it by explaining to you exactly why. But for now, we've already got our first caller, Wizard of Ozempec. Creative usernames. I've found that even the silly usernames are hard to it's a little difficult to identify what type of call it's going to be. So because it's the first call of the day, I'll be really clear and say, please do not violate the TikTok terms of service, because then the conversation can't continue. I am forced to kick you to protect my account. Please be a Trump supporter, because I'm looking to talk to ops today. Or I guess if you're mad at me because of what happened on Saturday, I'll talk about that too. I'm welcoming that discourse. But the first question, always, Wizard of Ozempec, is how old are you?
I am 39. What happened on Saturday? I'm curious.
I was at the Whipple Federal Building, which is like one of the ICE operational facilities. It's the main one for Minneapolis, where I live, where a lot of people protest. So a lot of the protest footage you've seen about this is from that building. If you don't know it by name, you'd probably recognize the location. But a Turning Point USA correspondent by the name of Savannah Hernandez decided to attend a demonstration we were doing on Saturday. And
I love her, man. You guys assaulted her. That's a great job. It's
really bad that she got assaulted. I agree with you on that. I don't love her. I think she's a total gotta watch the harassment and bullying languages. I really don't like her. I'll say that. But and it is bad that she was attacked. I pulled Minnesota Angry Man off of her. I'm one of the people who immediately got between her and the crowd. You can probably hear me yelling, "Back the fuck up, it's over." I, at the time, falsely thought that she had started it, because that's what the like crowd consensus was. I'm devastated that so many people are wrong about that because she didn't start it. Paige started it. Minnesota Angry Man's daughter definitely started it. She definitely crossed the lines in terms of when it became an assault. So I'm actually with you on that, and I'm one of the people that there were about a half dozen people who kind of formed a circle around her and made sure that the crowd couldn't get to her, and we got her out. And I was the one offering to get her a ride. I was like, dude, you are getting attacked. Like, let's get you out of here. So yeah, I do hate her. But yeah, it's bad that she was attacked, and I stopped her from being attacked. I was one of the people who helped stop her.
Fundamental differences in point of view.
I think that her points of view are like quite reprehensible. I think that she materially supports fascism. I think that what's happening to America is a danger to the stability of our democracy. I think she knows that, and I think that she's supporting it because she benefits from it. I don't think she's a fool like most of the people who call into my show. I think she's actually evil, and I have a bit of a platform to tell her that because she's paying attention to me, because she is still being an asshole to me and my buddy Derek, who literally stopped her from being assaulted, because she was definitely being assaulted. I'm not going to deny that.
These guys are violent.
Am I violent?
You represent a party of violence and you want to call us fascists?
No, I would say that she represents a party of violence because she's supporting human rights violations against the people in this country, citizens and otherwise.
She throw you to the ground?
Well, just because... Okay, so for example, like, Jeffrey Dahmer didn't murder me. Is Jeffrey Dahmer a murderer?
Did she shove her to the ground?
Does Jeffrey Dahmer murder you?
Jeffrey Dahmer is not representing an ideology, is he?
No, but he is a murderer, right? You would say that? Because an example of a person not doing a thing doesn't mean that they'd never do that thing, and that saying that they are a person who does that thing is wrong. Like, for example, Jeffrey Dahmer has definitely not murdered anybody in years. He's still a murderer. He was.
What about Charles Manson? Let's talk about Charles Manson then. Is he a murderer?
He didn't do it. He like directed people to murder people, right?
No.
I'm not super familiar with Charles Manson.
Yeah, he didn't murder anybody.
Okay, I'm not really interested in that.
But the point is that he had a point.
I think you're skipping past the point, which is that you pointed out, here's an example of her not doing something that's bad, and I said, right, I think she's bad for other reasons. But you're just asking me, like, did she do anything bad to me? Did she assault me? Did she do this to me? You said I support a party of violence. I think she supports a party of violence, and I disagree.
But again, what is a party of violence when you guys are the ones that are throwing people to the ground and unaliving people?
Do you think that Nick Sorter and Cam Higbee, the alt-right instigators who came to the Whipple and assaulted a woman exactly in the same place where this happened a few months ago, belong in prison for what they did?
Did Nick Sorter assault somebody?
Yes, he did.
Did he?
Yes, he did. It was a very similar. It was a very similar situation where people were like getting in each other's faces. But I've reviewed the footage of what happened with Paige and Minnesota Angry Man, and Paige was in the wrong. She crossed the lines. She did the things that made it like acceptable for Savannah Hernandez to defend herself.
Did Nick Sorter have bodyguards with him?
He had Cam Higbee with him.
Right. And was he being assaulted at the time that Cam Higbee did something to somebody else, maybe?
No, Cam Higbee wasn't involved in the...
assaulted somebody.
Cam Higbee wasn't involved at the time the assault started.
Was that about the time that Nick Sorter had to drive his car like erratically down the street? Because
in Minnesota, you can be placed under citizen's arrest for assaulting a person, and he was fleeing the scene of a crime before the police dealt with it. And yes, he did run those people over. Or like,
did you guys ever stop lying? I'm curious.
I'm just asking if you think that sort of behavior deserves the same sort of attention as what happened to Savannah Hernandez, because I want to make sure that you have a backbone and you're willing to judge your own.
And you can't show me any evidence of Nick Sorter assaulting anybody.
Give me about a week, dude. I am working on a hit piece about this because I think it is. I think it is egregious that the FBI is investigating this assault on Savannah Hernandez when they didn't do anything about the assault that Nick Sorter committed on that woman in literally the same place.
Because there's no assault.
Yeah, I think you're just declaring that because you think your party's right, because you blindly follow what your party supports.
That with the party of fascism, and it somehow gives you the fucking right to assault people. Like, that's weird, man. You don't have any foundational basis
I'm not
for
defending them. Oh, wait, I just want to check. You understand that I don't like what the Minnesota Angry Man family did. The three of them are in the wrong.
I don't care, man. That's irrelevant to the point of view.
You're accusing me of saying otherwise and then telling me that it's irrelevant when I tell you that I actually believe the opposite. I'm literally on your side about
yet
this.
Again when I tell you that there's no factual basis for calling anybody a fascist, because we're not the party of violence. You are.
I oppose the violence that happened on Saturday. I think there's...
Again, you represent the party If you represent the party,
I absolutely refuse. What I'm fundamentally disagreeing with you on here is that you can't call us the party of violence because of 3 bad actors when your party, the president of your party, literally pardoned 1,000 people who tried to overthrow the government violently by breaking into the Capitol.
They literally didn't.
They literally did. The goal was to go in there and stop Congress.
Okay. And again, all those 1,000 people, actually it was 1,800 people. It was 1,800 people. And the majority of those 1,800 people were arrested for what? Trespassing during an official proceeding.
Yeah, but about 100% of them, about 175 of them. I am going to cut you off. Yeah, I am. It happens sometimes.
Yeah, when you're wrong, right?
No, I want to point out that about 100. I want to point out that about 175, so 170 odd of those people were convicted of violent crimes against
breaker or oath keepers.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that 175 of those people represent the fucking views of the 1,800?
When the president that you support pardons them, yes.
See, and again, so the oath breakers stand with these people who were arrested for trespassing. They represent those people who are trespassing. But for some reason, you stand with a party of violence, but that doesn't represent your point of view.
You're just declaring us the party of violence because after a year of your party committing violence against us, three people did a bad thing. But I'm talking about the actions of
3 people did a bad thing.
Yeah, it's really bad what they did.
How many people died?
During the George Floyd riots?
Yeah. How many people died?
One, a looter who was breaking into a pawn shop.
36, actually.
That's
36
false.
People died.
Totally false. What are you talking about?
Totally false. No. 36 people didn't die in the riots.
No. I need a source. You made that up. I live here. I was present for the riots.
I'm not talking about just Minnesota, bro. Nobody cares about Minnesota.
I need a source on you saying that many people died in the George Floyd riots. It's false.
Oh, it's false. So nationally, you're saying that 36 people, actually 37, didn't die during the George Floyd riots.
Yeah.
Right. They were fucking mostly peaceful, right?
The George Floyd riots were riots. They were not peaceful.
You guys gave a golden casket to a fucking felon, a piece of shit. And you guys are talking about being the party of fucking virtue.
Okay, dude, you're like not actually responding to any of the things I'm saying, and I, as the host of this live, am demanding.
I'm not pivoting shit.
I'm demanding your source on claiming that 37 people. Prove that to me. Give me your source.
Demanding my source is every news agency that existed during that period of time.
One.
NBC. Go ahead and Google it, man. Google is fucking free.
Okay, Google is...
Even use ChatGPT.
Not going to use ChatGPT because it hallucinates wrong information, but we are going to use Google.
No, I'm not saying it's hallucinating.
NBC.
It provides sources
What is the Google search term?
It provides sources and links.
What is the Google search term that will yield evidence that 37...
My guy, bring up chat and use a prompt that will do it quickly.
Don't fact check with ChatGPT. You said Google.
My
Here
guy,
we are. NBC. What do I search? What do I search?
You're fucking being archaic about it, man. How old are you?
30.
You're 30 and you don't understand how to use fucking AI in order to get links to sources.
No, I understand that you shouldn't use AI to get sources. So again,
you're telling me that bringing up the sources and the links quicker than Google is somehow giving you wrong information, you fucking idiot?
All right, again, you said NBC is a good source. What do I Google?
Bro, this is not winning you any arguments. It makes you
said
like
37 people died in the George Floyd riots. I'm sitting here at the ready at Google to fact check you.
During the George Floyd riots.
Please tell me what to search so I find your evidence on that. If that's true, I'd like to know it. Let's find out together.
Literally just any of those keywords that I just told you.
Okay, 37 people.
Guys, this is exactly what's wrong with the Democratic Party.
I'm literally trying to Google. Like we're gonna find out together if you're right.
You all act like this guy right here. You're not educating anybody, man.
I am educating people that the claim that you made about 37 people dying in the Floyd riots is absolutely baseless. Where is the evidence?
Oh, it's baseless.
I googled NBC 37 people Floyd riots. What is that a good search term?
This guy takes this fucking Googling shit from DACA, by the way.
Okay,
like, that's not original, man. That's a deflection.
Again,
do your fucking.
It's my live and the topic is whether or not you're right about 37 people dying in the Floyd riots. I have Google open. Do you like my search terms?
You literally fucking said that we're all fascist. Provide any evidence that we're fascist.
The topic of the live at this moment is that we're checking, you're fact checking you on saying that 37 people died in the Floyd riots.
I'm not doing your fucking homework for you, man. Continue to Google until you find it.
Okay. It's not my job to prove the claim. The burden is on you.
Right. It's not your job to actually know what the fuck went on that summer, right?
Well, I do, and I know that you're wrong, which is why I'm trying to figure out...
How many people died in Minnesota from Kyle Rittenhouse alone?
Okay, once again, I'm not going to proceed with this.
How many people died from Kyle Rittenhouse?
We're not moving on. You said that 37 people died in the Floyd riots. I am opening it to Google. You are refusing to help me find. I searched NBC.
You know what? I'm going to pull it up for you because you're a fucking lazy piece of shit.
Please do. If you need to step away for a moment.
And I'm going to show you how you could use ChatGPT to source links from news articles. You fucking dope. I'll be right back.
Okay, you can be right back. Now we have 200 people watching and not many new followers from the stream. So either I've developed such an honorable following that many people tune in every day who are already following me, or some of you should get to following me. I'd appreciate it, even if you don't really want to follow me. Like, it does help. You know, if you get double tapping on the screen, that helps. All the chat and the comments, all that stuff is great. Helps so much with the live. And if you really want to go the extra mile, you can hit up the link tree in my bio and follow me on the other platforms. That's free to do and materially helps me run these lives because it helps the channel grow, helps this become more profitable for me. And there are some pretty direct ways to make this more profitable for me. You can find those in the link tree in my bio as well. But really, just all the engagement is super fun. Yeah, I mean, I know that one person died here in Minneapolis in the Floyd riots. They were trying to rob a pawn shop, and the pawn shop owner rightfully used his firearm to defend his business, and his business burned down, and that's terrible.
All right, guys.
I don't actually.
It took me literally 10 seconds to pull this information up, and it's being sourced from fucking Wikipedia, which literally gives you the link to Wikipedia.
Yeah, I actually like Wikipedia more than ChatGPT. What do I search?
That's great. Well, I mean, you like Wikipedia more, dude? Do you not understand what I just told you? ChatGPT gave me the link to Wikipedia.
Yeah, but in Wikipedia, the information that's in the article isn't also likely to be wrong.
It's pulling the information from the article. So hold on one second. Let me cook you live on your fucking own show.
Okay. I welcome people to do that all day. That's what I sit here and try to get you to do, is cook me. Nobody ever...
There you go. Now, if you bring it up on your fucking big screen, you could see 40 people. Approximately 40 people.
Is this going to be... Wait, is this ChatGPT that I'm about to show everybody? Let's see.
It's Wikipedia. Do you see the link under it where it says Wikipedia? That's where it's sourcing it from. Jesus, man. Like, for somebody who claims to do fucking research and asks people to do claims, you're really bad at this.
The Floyd riots were a thing that happened in March of 2020 over the course of about a week, and this is referencing by
No,
October.
it didn't. It lasted the entire summer. What the fuck are you talking about?
You don't like the Floyd riots, so you're just deciding... Like, the Floyd riots were our effort to get the state to charge him appropriately with the crimes that he committed. Wait, sorry, I didn't mean to close it. Let me pull that back up.
So disingenuous, man. It lasted the entire summer.
Okay, I mean, I think that we disagree about what the Floyd riots are. But again, what is this source?
Disagree, right? Let's shorten the period of time that it lasted.
What is on the screen? Is this ChatGPT?
Dude, again, do you see where it says Wikipedia right underneath the paragraph?
No, it's cropping. Oh, okay. So we have Wikipedia, we have The Guardian. Dude. Okay, dude, like, I don't use ChatGPT, so, like, forgive me, but
you don't know how to do research, period.
That's so ridiculous. Okay. Early counts during the initial wave of unrest reported that at least 19 deaths were connected to the protests and riots. Okay, and then 25...
June of 2020. Go down to the bottom.
Yeah, okay, and then 40, so broader multi-year accounting. I think what's going on here is that we disagree about what the Floyd riots were, and maybe...
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm getting to the point of disagreement here, because I would say that you're proving me right.
Yeah, you're getting to a point of disagreement because you absolutely just...
I am willing to accept that many people died in unrest and protests, like, during that 12-month or 18-month period. That just wasn't the claim you made originally.
Use AI on this, man. You can't just fucking Google search something and expect to land on it the first time.
I'm actually not even going to bother double checking, because again, you just claimed a different thing to be true than what I said. And if you and I disagree about what the Floyd riots
are... You said the George Floyd riots, man. How long did the George Floyd riots last?
Dude, I am in good faith.
Answer the question. It's a hard answer.
I already said 1 week, but I think we disagree about that. Yeah, I think
you hear that, chat? 1 week. This guy thinks that
we rioted for Floyd because we wanted the justice system here in Minnesota to charge Derek Chauvin with murder to a degree that the public felt was appropriate for the death of George Floyd. They did that, and then the protesting here stopped. The BLM movement continued. There have been protests and unrest related to civil rights since then, and people tend to say his name at those events. I'm just saying that when you say that 37 people died in the Floyd riots, what I thought you meant is that during the week that we rioted trying to get Derek Chauvin charged with that crime, 37 people died. I am willing to say... So
that's what you thought I meant when I said the summer of love.
Right, and we have detected that we disagreed about what we were talking about, so it's not good faith for us to sit here and say that we disagreed when we didn't. Guys. I can concede that you were factually correct, but we were talking about different things.
Sure. And when I said the summer of love, and I said that it extended the entire summer, and you're like, no.
I missed that. I don't recall you saying that. Yeah, I was... Come
on, man.
I didn't hear you say that.
Again, how many people were on live during January 6th, your most violent day since fucking Pearl Harbor and 9/11?
I don't put words in my mouth. I'm also a 9/11 victim, so I'd appreciate it if you exercise some respect about that. But
yeah, Kamala Harris literally said that.
Okay, a handful of people died. It depends on how you count.
A handful, huh?
Yeah, because one person...
How many people died at the Capitol on January 6th?
At the Capitol, just one, I believe, right? Ashley Babbitt?
There was two, but sure. But and they were Trump supporters.
Who was the... I mean, she was breaking into the Capitol. I would be pretty worried about getting shot if I broke into the Capitol.
Yeah, I mean, I would too. I think what she did was stupid. But at the end of the day, how many people died?
5 or 6. I don't remember exactly.
5 or 6?
Yeah, but
Yeah?
I mean, there's 5 or
like
6.
the police officers that you
there's
guys
5
like
or
to say
6
fucking
deaths
died
attributed
during
to
duty?
it, but I started by saying it depends on how you count, because I will admit that officers going home and unaliving themselves about it isn't as clear cut as Ashley Babbitt being shot on site. What are you arguing with me
like
about?
when the Democrat Party tried saying that the officer
how long was the J6 riot?
He actually died from a stroke.
Okay,
right,
you clearly care about including large amounts of protests in the George Floyd riot, so I just want to ask a couple questions. Dude, let me ask my questions. You're not participating very well in the live, and I'm losing my viewership. You need to track. I'm asking.
Losing your viewership? The only reason why you have any is because I'm on this panel.
That's what I do. I talk to people like you, and people find it very entertaining when I talk to people like you. And the reason they do that is because I'm capable of driving the conversation in a direction. I
literally have more followers than you do. The only reason
Congratulations. I don't care how many followers you have. I
here.
care about you answering my line of questioning. My line of questioning is, how long was the J6 riot? How many hours?
It was all day.
Yeah, okay, so it was fewer than 24 hours, right? In one place, and about how many people participated? 2,000 or 3,000 total, about 1,000 actually broke in, something like that? Right?
I would say it's even more than that.
Okay, so the per capita number of deaths associated with that protest is enormous, because when hundreds of thousands of people participate in what you call the George Floyd riots, only 37 people died. How do you explain that disparity in the per capita death rate of your
trying to use
party's
a per capita basis?
Yeah, okay, because I'm not a moron.
I use for the same reasoning.
I use per capita because I understand how data works.
I cannot fucking believe you're trying to use per capita in that argument sense.
Yeah,
That's
dude,
crazy.
you should use per capita in almost every argument. Everything has to do with the rate of incidence.
Per capita in Chicago?
No, I want you to explain why you're willing to include all of the protests to do with George Floyd, but you're only zooming in on J6.
Was everybody there to do the same thing?
Why is it okay to you that the per capita death rate at the J6 riot was greater than the per capita death rate at the George Floyd demonstrations?
Your hypocrisy and you're not following.
I'm pointing your out hypocrisy and you're not following. My question again. Okay, so I'm not going to proceed until you answer the question. The question is, why are you okay with the per capita death rate? Answer my question. Answer my question. Why are you okay with the per capita death rate at your protest being greater than the per capita death rate at the protests of my side, which were enormous and had like...
I'm not, actually. I'm not debating that because it's just a stupid argument. Like, that's just... I mean, sure, it's higher. Okay, can we move on now? Like,
I think that given that you're calling me a defender of the party of violence, I think that urges me to say that you are the defender of the party of violence, especially when you consider...
I'm the defender of party of violence.
Especially when you consider that of those a couple thousand people that attended the J6 riot, an enormous number of them, I didn't finish my sentence. You said what, and I haven't even made my point. All I said was the setup of my sentence.
I'm just astonished at the fact that you're trying to win this argument by using per capita at the Capitol.
Yeah, I'm astounded by the fact that you've called into a debate live and you don't recognize per capita data. That's baffling to me.
I don't recognize it? No, I recognize it.
I'm going to finish asking what I was asking when you go, what? Before I even finish my point. My point was...
Because I'm astounded by you trying to win an argument.
I'm going to make the question happen. You're going to listen. We can spend 5 minutes trying to get you listen, or you can listen right now and we can move on with the conversation. Those are your choices, but I'm not going to let up. I'm not going to use the mute button. I'm going to keep asking you this question. The question is,
buddy.
Why are you okay with an enormous percentage of the people who attended that demonstration being charged and convicted of violent crimes against law enforcement? So, like a big percentage. It was 170 or something of them were convicted of violent crimes against law enforcement out of a few thousand. That's something on the order of 5 or 10% of them. If 5 or 10% of the people who demonstrated with people on the left in what you collectively refer to as the George Floyd riots, every protest that happened in the year 2020 was apparently a part of the Floyd riots, according to you, there would be literally many thousands of people convicted of those sorts of crimes if we expected people on the left to commit those sorts of crimes with the same rate of incidence. It would be literally tens of thousands of convictions for violence against law enforcement. But no, that percentage is enormous at the J6 riot because there are fewer people that unpatriotic, but a high percentage of them are violent.
Okay, great. Cool. You made your point. Now, how many people were in D.C. at the Capitol at that
No, you didn't. Okay, I didn't make my point. I levied my question against you. Why are you okay with that greater rate of incidence?
I am not okay with it. I already said it.
Then why did you bring up J6, dude? Like, that was, I mean, I brought up J6, but why are you defending J6?
700,000 people there.
Right.
When was the last time 700,000 Democrats got together at the Capitol for a protest that turned violent?
Well, the last time we got that many people together at state capitals was on March 20.
Got together at the Capitol to protest that got violent. When was the last time your party did that?
I don't know of a time that's happened.
Right, exactly. So you can't compare the two. And also, you're trying to take
your side is doing the violent thing, and my side didn't. We just had
out of 1,000.
millions of people come to their local state capitals on March 28th was no King's Day.
Cherry picking 1,000 people.
What other demonstrations do I have to look at? Trump doesn't draw crowd sizes like
How many people were at the Capitol on J6?
2,000 or 3,000?
There were 700,000 in D.C.
Okay, you moved the goalpost between your question and your answer.
Your per capita data
at the Capitol building, it's 2,000 or 3,000. In D.C., yeah, okay, but what I'm saying is that we had millions of people participate in protests at capitals.
So you're telling me that the Oath Breakers and the Proud Boys, hold on,
dude, no, I'm not going to hold on. I am going to force you to listen to what I'm saying, which is that just a few weeks ago,
you're not listening.
Just a few weeks ago, we had millions of people actually go to the Capitol buildings because we're upset about what the government is doing on No King's Day. 100 to 200,000 here in the flagship demonstration at the Capitol building in St. Paul, and there was no reported violence. What are you on, dude? What are you talking about?
Hold on, ready? It's a very simple question. Did the Oath Breakers and the Proud Boys enter the Capitol?
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
What are you talking about, dude?
They never entered.
Yeah, they did. I'm going to get a misinformation flag for this guest not understanding what happened on J6. You have not satisfactorily answered any of my questions about the rate of violence among the left and right.
So again, you're wrong again.
You have not satisfactorily answered my questions about the rate of violence between the left and the right because we have enormous demonstrations that hundreds of thousands of people attend.
Continue to wear that beanie and those headphones to protect your virginity, dude. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, you're making character attacks because you're cornered in your argument and you're refusing to... Oh, he left. Okay, that was fun. Everybody, was that fun? Did I do a good job? Was he roasted? Did he run, or did I secretly boot him with my secret boot button because I'm so afraid of talking to these people? Like, I think he knew that I was right about the rate of violence being enormous on the right at these demonstrations. Where, like, when was the last time you had that many people at the Capitol? Literally like 3 weeks ago, dude. I was there. I have footage on it on my social media, me being in that enormous crowd. I actually took a video of some weirdo who was like being kind of difficult, but nobody touched him. Like everybody was filming him and worried about him. The weirdo in the blue shirt on my in my video from a few weeks ago. The high end of people there was 80,000, not 700. Yeah, exaggerating crowd sizes, right? I mean, that's what Republicans do. That's, as Obama said, what is this ridiculous obsession with crowd sizes? We're going to talk to Splinter Thumb. We're going to make sure that Splinter Thumb obeys the TikTok terms of service. We're going to make sure that we're only talking to ops today of some kind. And I'm going to start by asking, as I always do, how old are you?
54.
I believe you. What do you want to talk about?
No, I mean, I just saw how disingenuous you were with the last guest.
Okay, in what way do you think I was disingenuous with the previous guest?
Yeah, sure. You started off with the summer of love, not the week of love. I mean, I think we all remember that quote, correct?
Well, I actually just did. I might have been because he said it while I was talking, but I didn't hear him say that. And I said that I don't think it's fair to color like any protest that happened around the year 2020 as a George Floyd riot. I think that the George Floyd riots happened pretty locally here. There was some bigger stuff in New York and LA like that week.
But no, that's global. It was global,
right? But
sir.
There wasn't unrest for most of that year. It was concentrated to that 1 week, and a small number of people died. My point is that the rate of violence is greater among demonstrations on the right.
Yeah, but you cherry picked the data because you didn't include the crowd size outside. You focused on 1,000 people that were inside the Capitol, but didn't include the people
right, but
outside.
Actually, even if we include all of them, like whatever the number is, 80,000 or 700,000, which are two wildly different numbers people are arguing about in the chat, even if we include those numbers, 170 some odd convictions for violent crimes against police officers is still an enormous rate against the way those sorts of crimes. Because mind you, we're not talking about like simple like pushing a cop as assault and that's illegal. We're talking about like trying to hit them with weapons, baseball bats, riot shields. We're talking about like actually injuring them, tasing them, using their own crowd control munitions against them, things like that. Like that sort of thing just doesn't really happen. Like it's exceptionally rare, which is why the response to this situation that happened on Saturday is very disproportionate, because it is very bad what the Minnesota Angry Family did, but it's unrepresentative of us as a whole, and that's obvious when you consider the fact that we just a few weeks ago had a protest that the country over millions of people attended, and I don't know of a single incidence of violence. And I watched this stuff pretty closely. If there was something bad that happened, I think I would have noticed it, and I implore you to present it to me if there is something bad that happened.
Wait. I'm just trying to track here. So you're saying millions of people. You're saying millions of people weren't concentrated into one event? What do you mean? And
are you not understanding what I'm saying about No King's Day from last month?
Oh, from No King's Day.
Yeah.
Oh no, I could care less about No King's Day. I mean,
it doesn't support your argument, so you can't care less about that. I know that's generally how you operate.
How I operate? I just got on this thing. So what are you talking about? I'm just trying to track with what you're saying, sir.
Okay, I want to make sure. I'm not trying to use the nasty debate tactic of overwhelming you. I do want to help you understand my argument. What are you confused about what I'm saying?
Well, you're making a reference to a per capita thing again, and you
per
were
capita.
saying,
Do you recognize that per capita data is the correct data to look at if we're trying to assess which of two groups is more violent?
well, shoot, per capita. I mean, why don't you just include everything if that's the case? Why don't you include you guys going around burning Teslas because you're upset about a guy, I don't know, looking for fraud in the government? Do you include
I'm happy to include that and have a debate about the difference between assaults to property versus assaults to life, which I think are categorically different and need to be treated differently. But I do just want to make sure that you understand that if we have Group A and Group B, and we're trying to say ooh, how likely are these people to be convicted of committing violent crimes against police officers? We can't just say that there were 10 here and 100 there. We have to look at how big the groups are in total. And what I'm saying is that people who have committed violent crimes against police officers and been convicted of it, by the way, until Trump pardoned them, those people are overrepresented on the right as opposed to the left. The sort of serious violence that could cause real harm, cause people to die or have grievous bodily injury, that sort of thing is disproportionately present on the right, especially in consideration of the fact that this whole conversation is stemming from the live beginning with me talking about this incident that happened on Saturday where some people on my side, some liberals, did a bad thing. And what I'm saying is that shit happens to us from the right constantly and it doesn't get attention, but one fight breaks out at the Whipple and suddenly the entire world is turning on the left and calling us the party of violence.
Could you give me an example where the right has attacked the left? I mean,
Nick Sorter and Cam Higbee committed a number of assaults exactly in the same place a few months ago and nothing came of it because Jake Lang has multiple times come to the Whipple and both brandished his pepper spray and used it on people who weren't assaulting him. These sorts of assaults are commonplace and we are used to it.
Why was he carrying pepper spray?
Because he fucking hates us and wants to pepper spray us.
No, hold on. This makes zero sense because you're saying that a gentleman is walking around carrying pepper spray because he hates you?
If you go up to a crowd of people and point a big pepper spray canister at them like this without pulling the trigger, what that is brandishing a weapon and it is illegal. I'm just saying that type of behavior is commonplace among the right. We are used to it, those of us who protest at the Whipple building. But there's one fight that breaks out where we're in the wrong and suddenly the fucking vice president is sicking the FBI on us. I'm saying that it's hypocritical. That's my point. Because situations this bad happen to us regularly, but because the entire government is being controlled by the Republicans that support them, it just doesn't fucking get investigated. The police are on their side. It's corrupt.
That's extremely interesting, sir.
It is.
Wasn't there? Yeah, your claims are interesting, is what I'm saying. I mean, I think your points are ridiculous, but your claims are ridiculous, basically. You literally just had a young lady, I think it was a few days ago, who was reporting for, oh my God, who was that?
Dude, you're not, I know you probably weren't watching at the beginning of the live. I was there and I pulled Minnesota Angry Man off of her. I was one of the half dozen or so people that made a circle around her and stopped her from continuing to be assaulted because she was being assaulted. I was there and I helped save her. So can we just have that as context for us having a conversation about what happened that day? There's footage, the footage that you've seen of it is probably the only reason you don't see me in it is because I got the best footage from that day, so I'm holding the fucking camera.
So what happened there?
So she was in the crowd doing her thing, saying her Turning Point USA nonsense, which she has the right to do.
Wait, hold on. Before we go to the nonsense, because I could care less if you, sir, are in a group of people speaking nonsense.
Yeah, I finished the sentence by saying which she has the right to do.
Right. So I don't know why you would throw nonsense in there, but that's fine. So tell me what.
Well, whether or not what she's saying is nonsense has no difference on whether or not she was assaulted.
It does.
She's allowed to come and say nonsense, and I think the things that she was saying to us were nonsense.
Do you like to hear yourself talk?
Yeah, dude, you really can't do this if you don't. But anyway, I want to talk about Savannah Hernandez.
Yeah, so go ahead. Why was this young lady assaulted?
I mean,
because they're speaking nonsense. Go ahead.
Yeah.
That's your point.
Yeah, it's bad what happened to her. I agree with you. Her rights were violated.
Okay, so why is this happening? You said it was your position that this guy goes around with pepper spray because
Jake Lang does do that. Yeah, he brandishes weapons at people who've done nothing wrong to him, which is illegal, and then that causes those people to react sometimes violently, which is their right to do because it is illegal and violent and dangerous what he's doing, and then that creates a scuffle, and then he posts videos of it on Twitter, and people like me get death threats for being there. That's what he does, and it's terrible. That's not what happened on Saturday. Savannah Hernandez was assaulted.
Okay. So this is why I'm saying the nonsense part, right? Because you're telling your group of people.
I think her opinions are nonsense.
Gotcha.
That has nothing to do with whether or not she was assaulted. I'm saying that even though I think her opinions were nonsense, I think she was assaulted. I don't think you understand. Like, you're having a hard time with this moment, I think, because you don't like the idea of agreeing with a liberal. But I think I agree with you about what happened to Savannah Hernandez. And I'm trying very hard to make that as clear as possible. And you're like stuck on the fact that obviously I don't like her. I don't like the things she says and does. I hate
you don't
her.
like her?
No, don't like her at all. I just think she's a bad person. But that doesn't mean she should be assaulted.
Okay. So fine. So walk us through this, since here you have eyewitness, firsthand knowledge. What was she doing that caused a threat to somebody other than
nothing? I'm agreeing
hurting
with you.
your feelings with the words of
nothing.
nonsense?
I'm agreing with you. She was bad. What happened to her? Are you like? Are you unable to admit that I agree with you? Like, this is crazy.
Sir, what I'm trying to show you is the group of people that you involve yourself with, and you see it with Teslas and shit, right?
Teslas are property, not people. If we're going to talk about violence, we have to be talking about people, or we don't agree about the word violence, and then we can talk about the definition of the word violence.
I mean, I know I can't rely on you to look up data or information, because apparently you've displayed that you don't know how to Google shit. So do you want me to go pull up my computer so I can show you how to research shit and look into things? Or
I want you to recognize that you and me agree that what happened to Savannah was bad.
How many people were harmed with during the Tesla events? Let's call it that.
Are you talking about like people burning Teslas in parking lots because they were mad at Elon Musk? How many people? Yeah. I don't know of anybody that was like physically. Yeah,
because I literally have a nephew who had a Tesla truck who had to sell it because you guys are afraid of Tesla trucks.
Right, but that's not violence. Like that. Like that's actually.
Well, actually, it is violence when my nephew's in a truck and somebody comes up to him and busts his window. Unless you call that mostly peaceful violence.
Again, I just genuinely don't recognize an attack on property as an effective rebuttal to us talking about an attack on a person. Like, people and property are different. I think that this is something, a talking point I have to talk about a lot, unfortunately, because
what do you describe as violence, sir?
Harm against individuals.
Okay, so are you displaying
physical
violence?
Harm.
Right. Are you displaying violence if you're going around destroying property?
No. It's destructive, but not violent. Because it's property instead of people. Smashing a table with a hammer isn't violent. It's just destructive. Violent, there has to be a human or animal, a sentient victim for it to be violence, the way I define violence.
Sentient victim. So if an individual is in a car and they come bust a window, that's destructiveness or violence?
That's, if there's a person behind the window, I would argue that creates a little bit of violence because but that's not. Yeah.
A little bit of violence.
Yeah. It's a little violent if there's a person in the car, but if there isn't a person in the car, then it's not at all violent, is my argument.
Okay, so then I'm trying to understand your train of thought here. So what would you call road rage? Would you just leave the road? I don't know. What would you call that if you're that's not violence?
But road rage is a description for a set of behaviors, and among those set of behaviors, some of them are violent, some of them are just destructive, some of them are potentially irresponsible, and some of them are like harmless but maybe judgment worthy. If somebody just screams their head off at the wheel, son of a blah blah blah, I didn't, that's like road raging, but you're not actually doing something to somebody else. So it depends on what they did. Road rage as a category doesn't like fit neatly within the category of violence or non-violence. We need to know what type of road rage it is.
Okay, I'll accept that. I'll accept that for term depending on how you display the road rage. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so again, you keep on asking me. Like I didn't get the answer to this.
I'm just trying to understand.
I'm going to rewind us a couple seconds because you never got the answer to this because you kept on kept on asking me like, oh, what did Savannah do to get what she deserved? And I just kept telling you nothing. I disagree with the people who attacked her. her, can you just like for everybody, for the audience, can you say, hey, Oscar, seems like we agree that Savannah Hernandez was assaulted. Can you like say those words out loud for me if you agree with them?
Well, sure. I'm agreeing that you agree that that's violence, right? And I am
No. Violence. No. You're changing my words. Violence is not necessarily bad because self-defense is allowable. I am saying what happened to Savannah does not fall. I don't agree with everybody on the left about it falling under under violence. I actually left thinking she was in the wrong, and I reviewed my own footage and changed my mind. I said, nope. What Paige was doing, Minnesota Angry Man's daughter, she crossed the line with her a lot. She was blowing that whistle too close to her ear. She was invading her personal space in a way that's not explainable by the crowd density that we had at the time. By the way, I'm a crowd management expert because of some past job experience. I know about those sorts of things. And yeah, she was crossing the line. So when you say that I'm admitting that it's violence, you are sidestepping the fact that I think it was wrongful violence.
She was assaulted, was she not?
Yes, she was assaulted. Okay. A lot of people on the left disagree with me on that. That was violent. I'm agreeing. She was violently assaulted. Yeah, that's
you
bad.
Kind of sitting here, but wait. You kind of sat there and said, "Well, she was blowing a whistle in her ear for some reason to evade saying that there was violence." I agree
with the people who say that that's assault. If you blow a whistle that loudly, that closely to somebody's ear, you can damage their hearing. That is assault. I'm giving evidence to the claim that we agree on. I genuinely don't. I think the gears in your head are just grinding on the idea that we fucking agree about this, dude. Like, I have more nuanced opinions about it that you probably don't like, but to the letter of the law, yes, she was assaulted. What they did was bad, and there's literally footage from a dozen angles of me personally stopping her from being assaulted. What are you not understanding about my position on this?
I commend you for that. I mean, I'm sitting literally.
Glad you can fucking say that at least.
Well, I'm just trying to here's the problem with you guys, right?
Okay.
Instead of accepting the things that happen, what you try to do is somehow vindicate it. Or sometimes.
In what way am I doing that, though? This is what I'm trying to explain.
This is what I'm trying to explain to you, because you literally did this with the stupid per capita argument, right? So you're trying to wiggle instead of acknowledging.
There are hundreds of millions. There are hundreds. No. No. You can say "sir" all you want.
You're literally sitting here.
But I'm going to stop you
about the events that you guys go ape shit crazy because of Teslas, bro. Then I'm showing you that you guys are literally protesting no King's protest.
Thank you for the hand
when
hearts.
We're not a monarchy.
Okay, you're moving on to a bunch of other shit. You're moving on to a bunch of other shit. I want to answer what you said about per capita. Okay, so what I'm saying is that
it's a stupid argument.
Okay, listen, I'm gonna explain it more. I really want to make sure that you understand what I'm thinking about this. I want to talk about the per capita thing. The number of people on the right is a 9-digit number. Would you agree about that? Do you understand math well enough to know what I mean when I say it's a 9-digit number? How many people?
Don't attempt to insult me, because I will fucking destroy you, bro.
That's adorable. That's adorable. You shouldn't have called into my live if that's the way that this is going to go. Because all I do is sit here and school people. If you want to go down that route. Okay, 9 digits. How many people is that? What range? If you want to really get schooled. 9 digits. Say it quickly. Let's show how fast your brain works. Go.
Jesus H. Christ.
It's a range from a number to 10 times that number. What are the numbers?
This is real. This is your argument that you're formulating, and I can
show everybody that you're that smart, and I'm not going to school you on it. A 9-digit number. How many people is that?
We're going to enjoy it. We're going to enjoy this. Sir,
9-digit number. How many? How big is that number? Give me an example of a 9-digit number.
Let me show you how to do this.
Give me an example of a 9-digit number so that I want to make sure. That's what you got. You dunked on me for being condescending when I brought up that I wanted to make sure you knew how big a number that was. And here you are unable to demonstrate that you know how big a number that is when you turned it around on me and said that I shouldn't try to make you look bad because I won't be able to do it. What is happening right now, buddy? Are you using a calculator to figure out how big a 9-digit number is? Give me an example of a 9-digit number.
Oh, this is what I'm going to show you.
No, dude, I want an example of a 9-digit integer number for the person who put a decimal in the chat. Okay, somebody saved you. They said 100 million. 100 million is a 9-digit number.
I don't need to do that. Watch this.
Yeah, you do if you don't want to look like a fool on my live.
No, watch this.
No, dude, I don't care what you ask Siri. You don't understand the math that you just dunked on me for saying you might not understand.
I want you to see what you're doing. You're saying that one person passed away in a few hours, right? and January 6th.
No, dude. No.
Look what you're doing.
We're going to talk about the 9-digit number. That's what we're talking about. We're not going to move on. You couldn't demonstrate that you know how many people that is, so I will now tell you how many people that is. A 9-digit number is a number that is between 100 million and 999,999,999. Those are all of the 9-digit numbers. The number of people on the right is a 9-digit number because it's something like 1 or 200 million. The number of people on the left is also a 9-digit number in this country. Am I getting this right? Yeah. I almost mixed up my millions and billions. Yeah, it is a 9-digit number.
It's 345 million people in the United States.
That's a 9-digit number. About half of them are on the left and about half of them are on the right. So they're both about 9-digit numbers. My point is that 9-digit number is very big. Very big, very big. So among 9 million people, or a 9-digit number of people, among 100 or 200 million people, the worst 1% of either of those groups are going to be like a deplorable, terrible, like horrible group of people. There's going to be criminals, there's going to be rapists, there's going to be murderers, there's going to be all sorts of terrible...
I understand the per capita arguments.
Right. I don't think you do, because you're fighting against it that hard. So what I'm saying is that when you see an example of something bad happening, and I go, yeah, there's 100 to 200 million people on the left, of course there are some fucking terrible bad actors on that side. That's true of both sides. I wouldn't call the right violent for seeing like one isolated example of it. I see a trend of it, is what I'm saying. I'm saying that the per capita rate of violence among demonstrators on the right is enormous compared to the per capita rates of violence.
January 6th.
I gave a really strong example.
Right.
We were that mad about George Floyd over here in Minneapolis, and it's not like we had hundreds of people charged with violent crimes against law enforcement officers. We had a lot of property damage, but that's different. And I think that in terms of like there being good trouble in a protest movement, like property often, is the thing that gets sacrificed by the people, and that's like there's a more nuanced conversation to have about that. But it just isn't violence. You're saying that Tesla vehicles are people because it's what you have to do to make your side of the argument right.
Here you go. Between January 25th and early 2026, I was listening to your dumb argument. So here.
Then respond to it.
I'm responding right here. I'm going to show you how to put up data, and if you want to do it per capita, okay? Mm-hmm. So between January 25th and early 2026, assault agents against U.S. immigrants and custom enforcement ICE officers increased over 1,300%.
Okay, how many of those are attempted murders? How many of those are attempted murders, though? We have to talk about the severity of the crimes.
Oh, so you want to like call that, I don't know, what you call it earlier? Wait. I just want to make sure. Are you going to say ICE agents aren't people? Or are you going to...
No, I'm not going to say that. No. Again, the whole time you've been trying to get me to say worse things.
I don't, because this is your problem. You're going around changing
I think your problem is that
trying
you
to
want me
change my perspective on how to view things. I don't understand you. So over 1,300%, over 180 vehicle attacks. I guess we can't use that.
If we want to talk about recent ICE data, we have to
tax reporting during the period.
If we want to talk about ICE data, you're missing an important part of this, which is that if you want to include recent ICE data, I'm answering. You brought up a very your point is not a bad one. For all the arguments that people bring up, the thing you just brought up has a good answer that I want to share with my audience. Can I tell you my answer to what you brought up?
Hold on, could I at least finish the data for you before you start to make an argument?
Go ahead.
Wow, thank you. Vehicle attacks. DHS reported 66 vehicles.
Those aren't.
Ready?
I don't recognize attacks on property as
violent
violence.
Surges. Officials noted 1,300% increase assaults against ICE agents and 8,000% increase in death threats. Unless we're not going to call death threats a form of violence, and you want to make that argument as well? I mean, I don't know. This is why I'm trying to understand your train of thought.
So there's two things that I have to respond to this. The first one is that I discredit any of that data that refers to violence against property because I don't recognize that as violence at all. And if we want to talk about crimes against people's property, their money, their liberty, then we need to talk about what the billionaires are doing to the poor. But that's a whole other thing because that's property instead of people. We're talking about people. And what I will say is that if you want to include recent data about DHS and ICE, you have to then recognize that if we're talking about this as left versus right. The ICE agents themselves are on the right, and they have committed more violence against the public than the public has committed against them. And if we look at that as a per capita rate, because there aren't that many ICE agents, we see that it's not just that it's more, it's astronomically more. It's astronomically more in a per capita sense.
Pull up your data on that. Yeah, I'll give you your defense. Pull up the data on the harm that ICE agents are causing on people, please.
Okay. Civil rights violations by ICE. So this is recent, so there aren't like large meta-analyses on it yet. But if we look at
but wait, we can't say that now. I'm going to use your stupid arguments of we can't categorize as civil rights because that's a different category, and we can't include that into injuries. I mean,
wait, I don't think you understood what I just said. What is it? No, explain to me what you just said. I don't think I understood what you just said.
Well, first of all, you're making the argument that if you're harm or damaging property, that's not a form of violence.
Yeah, right? I argue that. That's destruction, not violence.
That's destruction. God.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't get charged with assault for burning a car down, dude, unless there's a person in it.
Man, I don't know how you guys do this, bro.
How do you think that if I destroy property, it's violence? Who's the victim?
Yeah. How many people go around saying, "Man, I'm having a lovely day. Let me go burn a Tesla. I'm feeling good."
That's not an answer to my question about whether or not it's violence or property destruction.
It is violence, bro.
It's destruction. It's destruction of property,
and it's shit. You genius.
No, that's not what violence is. You need a sentient victim for there to be violence. If I harmed one of my cats, that would be violent. If I harmed a stuffed toy of a cat, that's not violence. It's destruction. How are you not understanding this?
Could you injure a mailbox?
No, you could damage. No, you can damage a mailbox because it's not a sentient being.
Okay, got it. Just making sure that's your position.
The only way that your argument stands any chance of holding in this debate is if you classify property as something that can be the victim of violence, because then you have a case, because protesters do use destruction of property as what we call good trouble to get attention to our issues. That's a whole other conversation that I would be willing to have with you if you were at all capable of having this conversation with me about violence and the subjects of violence, the victims of them, have to be sentient creatures that can experience sadness, pain, misery, hurt. We're talking about people and animals. Only people and animals can be the victims of violence, in my opinion. I don't understand how that's not clear to you. I think it's disparaging to victims of violence to say that the mailbox is a victim of violence.
Got it. Okay.
I'd rather destroy 100 mailboxes than hit a baby.
As long as you're doing it peacefully, right?
I'm saying that I would rather destroy every mailbox in America than have you be killed by political violence. I would prefer the mailboxes all be destroyed because they're so much less valuable than a person.
Well, I'm glad we agree on that, but you guys don't take it out.
But you're not acting like you agree with that. If you weigh the mailboxes as violence, if I damage the mailboxes, then there should be an amount of mailbox damage that I could cause that would usurp the amount of damage it causes to society for me to harm a person. And what I'm saying is that all of the people are above all the property. There's no amount of damage to property that would elevate you to violence because I would allow an immense amount of damage to property to happen to save one human life.
I'm glad we agree with that. Cool deal. I'm just trying to understand your argument here, but
okay, yeah. I just don't know why it took so much pulling of teeth, but because again, the fact that you're offended by destruction of property of Teslas means, by the way, that what they're doing is working. So, W to the people who burned the Teslas, they worked on you. Just so you know.
W to the people who.
In terms of getting what they want from you, yes. I'm not condoning what they're doing. I'm just saying that what they wanted worked. You're sitting here upset about it. It worked. But what I'm saying is that it is egregious to me that you are that upset about that, and you aren't upset about violence against people and violations of people's civil liberties and violations of people's natural human rights that can't be revoked for any legal reason. So that to me is very disturbing. The fact that you're sitting here telling me that I'm violent for imagining beating up a mailbox when there are actually people out there getting hurt and having their rights violated. It shows me your priorities are out of order.
Well, I think that's kind of where I'm going here, buddy. Because what I'm saying is that you think that it's okay to go damage property because it's property, right? Nobody's harmed by that. is your argument.
I didn't say it was all right. I just said that I would say that pretty much almost all violence is worse than almost all property damage, because they're so categorically different things. The amount of property damage we need for it to add up to the same amount of harm as a person being harmed is enormous. I would let like buildings burn down to save a human life, obviously assuming there's no people in the buildings, because we're just talking about the property. I would let the building that I live in burn. If we had to evacuate my building and burn it down, which I have a lot of neighbors, it would be a bummer for all of us living in this crappy poverty building in these studio apartments. I would evacuate the building and burn it down if it would save your life, because your human life is important than all this property, even though it's my fucking property. That guitar back there belongs to my dead father, and I would like cry for years if it burned in a fire, but I would throw it into a fire to save you from breaking your arm. That's the difference between you and me.
Right. So this is what I'm trying to explain to you, son. When you're going your... Yeah, son.
Adorable.
I'm 54 years old.
Okay, Pops. Tell me how it is.
You can call me Daddy. But
Okay, Daddy.
What I'm trying to explain to you is real simple. During the George Floyd thing, that's things that you're worried about people dying, all right? You're like, well, not many people died. 42 people, 38 people, whatever the number is.
No, I disagree with those numbers for reasons that we discussed a lot with the previous caller, and I don't remember if you and I talked about it a lot. I think that he's drawing a bigger circle around the Floyd riots to include that, whereas I think that the Floyd riots were really concentrated to the week after he died.
Right. So how many people, well, I don't know if this is the thing with you guys. How many officers were injured during those riots?
I don't know of any officers being injured in those riots.
2,000.
Okay. I'm inclined to believe you, but again, I think that I would want to look at what those incidents were.
This is the problem that we're having, right? Because now you're just sitting here minimalizing things. You're sitting there going,
if it was the type of violence that law enforcement saw on J6, I would agree with you.
This is exactly where I was going with this. You're sitting here minimalizing people's violent actions. It's really not violence because it's only property. So now when I sit here and I tell you 2,000 officers were injured, you don't sit there and grasp that and say, man, I don't know. Did they twist their ankle? Did they get bashed over the head with a rock?
I remain agnostic to your claim. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that the reason I'm skeptical of those sorts of claims is because we have examples like, here, I'll give you one example, which is that Jonathan Ross said that he went to the hospital with a subdermal hematoma. Do you know what a subdermal... this is the person who murdered Renee.
By getting struck by the car.
Do you know what a subdermal hematoma is? It's a medical term for a thing that's pretty normal. Do you know what the thing is that it refers to? Like the everyday thing that you and I might call it. If I experienced a subdermal hematoma, do you know what I might call it?
A stomach ache because you minimalize shit? I don't know. What would you call it?
A subdermal hematoma is a bruise. That's the medical term for what a bruise is.
Yeah, a tummy ache, because let's just minimize it, right?
No, it's not a tummy ache. A tummy ache would be much more concerning if that was the result of some sort of internal bleeding. That's a life-threatening condition. That's not what happened with him. He allegedly got a bruise. By the way, I call bullshit. If he got bruised, there'd be pictures of it on the news. I don't even think it's true. But again, it's like the most exaggerated medical diagnosis that you could give to anything. And I'm saying that when you hear about assaults on a police officer, I have a hard time believing that it amounts to the sort of violence that happened against the officers on J6, and I would like for you to demonstrate to me that it is, if that's the case, because if it is the case, then I will concede and hand you the W.
Man, this isn't about the W. It's
a little bit about it's a debate live. It's a little bit about us trying to figure out who's right about the thing that we're talking about, right? That's kind of what we're doing here.
Oh, is that what we're doing? I mean, how do we establish the W when you want to sit here and just call shit different? How does this work?
What I need for you to do is demonstrate to me
the way you frame your argument. Is that what you do when you change the way things?
No, it's
the way things mean is a W. How does this work?
I'm saying that if you can demonstrate what you're saying to me is the case, then I would give you the W. But what I need to see is that the sort of violence that happened in these demonstrations is the sort of violence that we saw against law enforcement on January 6th, because I think that that's flatly false. Not for two reasons. One, because why do
you think it's false?
Because it would make the news if liberals had caused that much damage to law enforcement, and it didn't. Also, I was at the George Floyd riots.
Why do you believe it would make the news?
Because the news is biased against the misdeeds of the left as opposed to the right, as we saw on Saturday with what happened to Savannah Hernandez.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
saying
it's getting disproportionate attention, what happened to Savannah Hernandez, because there's so many instances of the right violating our First Amendment right and assaulting us. I have personal experience with that, and there's loads of evidence of it out there.
How many gatherings on the right do you see protesting? How many gatherings in the last 6 months?
Well, I don't think that there are actually as many people who are ardently in favor of Trump in the way that, to counter-protest.
Wait.
It's a small number.
How many gatherings do you see of the right protesting?
Are you asking how? Like Jake Lang tried to have a rally in downtown Minneapolis. 10 supporters showed up, and 2,000 counter-protesters showed up.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
What were they counter-protesting?
Jake Lang, who is a fucking Nazi and tried to overthrow the government.
Got it. So what you're saying is that you don't like free speech, right? Because it's okay for you guys to protest, correct? But let's go protest a protester?
Yeah, you can counter-protest a protester.
Right.
More people showed up in favor of my side. That's a demonstration that the public is more on my side than Jake Lang.
Notice you're protesting a person. You're protesting a protester.
Yeah, you're allowed to, so for example,
I understand that.
I want to explain something to you in the audience, so forgive me if you understand this, but I just want to make a clarification about this because it's something I hear that's not understood a lot. A lot of people told Savannah Hernandez on Saturday to leave, get out of here, you're not welcome here. And why
not? Why wasn't she welcome there?
I'm in the middle of explaining this, dude. You interrupted me to hear the rest of what I'm saying.
I'm curious.
Yeah, so can I get back to saying it,
Was
please?
she counter-protesting
Can I finish what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
You seem to want to know what I'm saying. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So what I'm saying is she has the right to be there, right? The First Amendment right, she can go stand at the Whipple building. I agree with you on that. What I'm saying is it's not a violation of her rights to say you're not welcome here, I want you to leave, because a person is allowed to not want somebody to be somewhere. If I come up to you on the street and say, hey, I fucking hate you, dude, I don't want you here.
It's a public space. Go ahead.
I can say to you that I don't want you here. I'm not allowed to threaten you. I'm not allowed to enforce that, but I can let you know that I don't like you and that I don't want you somewhere, that you're not welcome somewhere. That's just my opinion. I'm allowed to have that.
It's not her street to be welcoming anybody. Would you agree with that?
She has no authority. You're right. Correct.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when I say I don't like you, you're not welcome here, I have no authority to enforce that. I'm just letting you know my feelings, which I have the First Amendment right to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's just a little thing about that I wanted to correct it. So yes, 2,000 people showed up to tell Jake Lang, we don't want you here. We don't like what you're about. And I'll actually give you some people did some bad things to Jake Lang. He was also assaulted. I will actually defend the people who assaulted Jake Lang more because he constantly assaults us. He literally comes and sprays pepper spray at people who did nothing at all. The guy's actually a violent, dangerous criminal that law enforcement is refusing to go after. So I give the crowd a self-defense token on Jake Lang. I don't for Savannah Hernandez because she's not physically dangerous the way that Jake Lang is.
Gotcha. So this person had a gathering of, what'd you say, 10 people?
Jake Lang?
Yeah.
Yeah, the number of people who came up to support his side was very small. The exact number is hard to say, but it was something like 10 to 20 people. It was really, really small.
Let's just give it 20. How about that?
I already pushed the range bigger to make sure that I was exactly right. I think the actual number was a dozen, 10 or 12. But
okay, and how many came to counter protest them?
1,000 to 2,000 by my estimation.
1,000 to 2,000.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, 1,000 people showed up and said, dude, you're violent and we don't like you. What you support is terrible and we don't want you here. And again, some people did commit violence against him. But I think there's a greater defense for the people who attack Jake Lang because he literally is a giant, a violent, dangerous person who regularly assaults people outside here in Minneapolis. The dude runs around my city assaulting people in the same way that Savannah Hernandez was assaulted on Saturday. He is the bad guy in those instances, and the government doesn't care. The police don't care. Nothing happened. Twitter certainly doesn't care. Twitter goes and doxes the people who he crossed paths with so that people are afraid of fighting back when he commits violence against them. The guy's a serious problem. So
give me this guy's name again. What is it?
Jake Lang.
Jake Lang. I'm gonna look this guy up because
you might recognize his face because he's he's been pretty prominent. But what I'm saying is that he commits the sort of violence that happened against Savannah Hernandez is something that I have with my own eyeballs seen Jake Lang do, and the guy doesn't see consequences. That's the type of disproportionality that I'm talking about. For some reason, the law enforcement won't fucking go arrest Jake Lang for pepper spraying people who did nothing at all. Even if sometimes the guise is that somebody will shove Jake Lang, which is illegal. So Jake Lang will then mace an entire crowd of 10 people. And that's not allowed. You can't just start swinging at a crowd. You can't, collective punishment is illegal.
I'm looking at
not covered under self-defense.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. Apparently, he attends a lot of anti-ICE protests. I guess he's a. Is that what it is? He goes around.
He's a counter protester. He comes
He's
to.
like,
Yeah, he
the
comes
thing
to.
you say you're allowed to do. Is that what you're saying?
He's allowed to show up. Been defending that the entire call. He's not allowed to do, but I described a bunch of stuff that he's doing that's violent and dangerous and illegal, and you're sidestepping that completely. It's showing up isn't the problem. It's literally attacking people who did nothing wrong. That's the problem.
So let me see if I get this straight. What you're saying is this one guy got a group of 10 people together and 2,000 people came to protest him, and he tries to cause problems with what people are 10-1 over him, is what you're saying?
I mean, he was really, really outnumbered. It went very poorly for him.
How many times does he get outnumbered? I'm kind of curious.
He's almost always outnumbered. He's a Nazi.
Always outnumbered.
Yeah, there's more of us than the Nazis.
Always more guys than him. And you think he's going out there antagonizing you to cause him harm?
Not antagonizing, assaulting. He
goes out and assaults people that 10-1.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, because the right has his back.
I'm gonna call bullshit on that. I'm going to think that the odds are, per capita, it's you guys that are causing the problem. I seriously doubt that any of you are going over there going, "Hey, look, we know you have the right to,
All right. I'm gonna poll the audience. Just give me the.
Biased audience, right?
No, I'm not polling. I'm not polling them on evidence. That would be really bad faith of me. I'm polling them on whether or not you get to stay on the live because the show is for them. Just tell me kick or keep in the chat, and I'm gonna go by what the chat says. But yeah, I mean, I'm
the other side.
I can't show you evidence of him doing this violence because I get in trouble on TikTok for showing violence. But the chat says kick you, so we got a couple of keeps in there, but it is about 10-1 kick. So I am going to kick you, but you are welcome to go research Jake Crane.
Well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to see your thought process of how he's assaulting people that are outnumbering 10-1, which makes
I am going to listen to my audience and kick you. So I bet that Splinter Thumb is probably going to go find videos posted by Jake Lang on Twitter and come back and say, "Look how violent you guys are." And it's like, yeah, you're listening to the guy himself. That's what I predict happens. Anyway, bye, Splinter. How am I doing, everybody? Am I debating properly? I'll do a super quick mid-roll and remind everybody, if you want to double tap on the screen, follow me. If you're not following me, share the live, all that nonsense. It helps me in a super material, meaningful way. And if you want to go the extra mile in a way that doesn't cost anything, you can go to the link tree in my bio and follow me on YouTube and Instagram, because I'm trying to get my follower counts up there. I'm almost at 10K on Instagram. It's crazy. I've doubled in like the last week. I'm really excited about that. And the YouTube is finally taken off. I think I figured out what I need to do for the algorithm on there, and I'm getting traffic on the long form vods of these calls. So if you want to go listen to me when I'm not live, YouTube's the place for that. And if you want to support me in ways that are not free, TikTok has some options for that, and there are some options that I put in the link tree in the bio, and I get a greater percentage of the money you spend if you use those options. So, all right, the fact that I only lost like 6 people after leaving for a minute, that's incredible. You guys must be doing the work. Okay, I lost like 10 people. That's okay. I know Popcorn is hard to talk to. I know. I'm good at talking to people who are hard to talk to. So we're gonna see if we get some good Instagram clips out of Popcorn. But I know he's of age. I'm gonna ask him to remind me how old he is, because I don't remember, and I like it for context. How old are you, Popcorn?
46 from the great state of Georgia, previous Democrat, turned Republican in the mid-2000s, voted for Trump 5 times.
Yeah, that's right. What do you want to talk about today, Popcorn?
Yeah, just wanted to discuss about your support of terrorism here domestically, and just wanted to ask you why you think that's fine to support terrorism.
I don't.
You do. You've openly admitted that with the last guy. Not the last guy, but the guy before him.
What did I say that supported terrorism?
That you disagree with the violence, but you enjoyed or liked or appreciated the fact that those Teslas were being burned and all that, because you
That's
got
not what I said.
That's exactly what you said.
No,
you got what you want.
No, I said that the guy who burned the Tesla got what he wanted by upsetting the guy who called in. I didn't say my opinions about it at all.
That's not what I took away from it. I took away that while you disagree with the violence, you agree with the intent behind it.
That's not what I said.
Well, that's not what I heard. So
yeah, well, I know you don't actually hear the things that I say, Popcorn.
Well, no, I listen closely, and I I think you were trying to win a discussion with him, and so you said some things that probably you didn't actually believe just to win an argument, and I think maybe that's what happened, so.
Okay, I don't understand your point then, because you came up and you said that I said something that I didn't.
You support terrorism.
Yeah, you haven't demonstrated that to me, because you told me that I said something that I didn't say as evidence of my supporting terrorism. So,
well, you said terrorism only is an act of violence against a person. That's not the definition.
I didn't say that. I said that violence. No, I didn't.
You said violence against a sentient being.
I was talking about the definition of violence, not the definition of terrorism.
So is terrorism only violence?
Terrorism. Yeah. Sometimes I think for more than 1 second. I think before I talk. It's one of the important things a debate host has to do. I think that terrorism is not necessarily like always involving physical violence. It's often the threat of physical violence or the threat of destruction. Sometimes what you're doing is terrorizing people, creating fear to get what you want from them. That's what terrorism is.
There you go. And that's the only thing I wanted to clarify, because it really sounded like you didn't know that. And you did say, and maybe you should go back and look at your video.
But we were talking about the definition. Me and that caller got stuck on the definition of violence, not the definition of terrorism. You brought up terror. You listened to that whole conversation, decided it was about terrorism, called me and said that I don't understand what terrorism is, and then referenced a conversation that I had about something that was different than terrorism, which is the definition of the word violence.
Okay, so as long as you agree that terrorism is not just violence, you agree with that.
Terrorism and violence overlap in some very important and relevant ways, but no, they're not the same thing.
Okay, what's the difference?
Violence is any harm against like an individual's body, whether that individual is a human or some other sentient creature. And then terrorism is an effort to get somebody to do something else using a threat of violence or destruction. Because I will admit that there are examples of terrorism where the threat that's being made is against property, not a person. So terrorism is actually covered by both of the things I was talking about with that guest, which is violence and the destruction of property, which I think are categorically different things. But they are both tangled up with what terrorism is in the way that I just described.
Awesome. I'm glad we can clarify that, and that you don't agree that terrorism is only physical violence towards a person. It does include burning those Teslas and all that stuff. Which
there's an argument. Yeah, like there's an argument for burning vehicles as a political demonstration being terrorism.
Well, that's not an argument at all. It is terrorism.
I'd have to think about that. That's kind of nuanced. I'm not sure I agree with that.
There's no thinking about it. It is what it is.
I am going to think about it. That's what I do. When I'm not sure about something, I think hard. I don't just don't let a bunch of bullshit fall out of my mouth. So every once in a blue moon, a guest says something to me like you just did, where instead of immediately having a snappy response, I go, that's interesting. I'd have to really think about that, which is the good faith thing for me to do. And you're sitting here dunking on me for it like it's a W, dude. Like you're dunking on me for being good at what I'm doing.
It was a W before I came up, so.
I don't know, Chad. Do you think it was a W before he came up? Yes.
It was a W before I came up. Because you're doing a lot of backtracking.
So far, can we just get a poll? Can we just get a W host or W guest? I just want to check the room.
Do these simps send you money? Of course, they're gonna agree with you. All 83 people. Dude, you can get absolutely demolished, and they'll still say that you won. That's what they do. That's why they're here. Man.
You want to talk about numbers? Do you want to know how many views I've gotten on Instagram in the last 30 days?
I don't care. Really don't care.
Guess. I want you to guess. I want you to guess how many it is.
1.
No, I really want you to guess.
2.
Dude, make a good faith guess. Guess. No. I'm actually just because I know this whole conversation is a mess. Talking to you sucks, so I'm just gonna play the game of messing with you a little bit. I am gonna kick you unless you give me what I think is actually a good faith answer, and I will open my phone to my professional thing and show it to the camera, and I'll show you how many views on Instagram I've gotten in the last 30 days. I just want you to guess how many it is.
Oh,
because you made fun of my viewership. What?
Is this how you run from a debate?
No, I don't think a conversation with you is a good faith debate. So
popcorn, is that what it is? You're scared of popcorn, aren't you?
What do you think the number is?
I'll put fear. I don't care, dude. Stop trying to pivot.
You do care. You brought up how many viewers I have. I have 89 now. It's gone up since you said it when it was 82. How many do you think it is?
83. Does that bother you? You only have 83 people in here?
88 for somebody who just started. 83 is amazing. It's incredible. Thanks everybody for supporting the stream.
You're an amazing grifter.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm doing a pretty good job at the grift. I'm really rolling with it.
Great job.
But again, I'm not gonna move on. How many views do you think I've gotten on Instagram? Because Mr. brought up the fact that I only have 83 people watching. How many views do you think I've gotten on Instagram in the last 30 days?
I would say 4.
Good faith answer, dude. It's more than 4.
I don't know, and I don't care.
Do you think it's more or less than 100,000?
I would say that you're just trying to run from me cooking you. That's what you're doing. So let's get back to the topic. I don't care about your viewership.
No. I'm gonna insist that you answer this because I'm in charge of the live and I'm gonna kick you if you don't.
I certainly hope it's not above 100,000 because
you don't think it's more than 100,000?
100,000 people that are simps for okay, which means what? So you have 7,000 followers.
5.2 million views in the last 30 days. That's how many.
Okay, awesome. And how much are you getting paid for that?
None yet, because I don't get paid until I get to 10,000 followers. So please follow me on Instagram, everybody. Help the grift.
So why are you showing that? What's the point of you showing that?
Because you made fun of my 83 viewers, so I wanted to dunk on you by the fact.
I'm not making fun. I'm just saying that's how many viewers you have. Does that make you butthurt?
It makes me very excited about how this is going for me.
Oh, well,
I show those people videos of you, and they love them.
You're getting 1.5 million views in 30 days. For
most of that, by the way, most of that is my debate content performing well, which is why so many people come over here and listen to me and go over to YouTube and watch the VODs. I'm gonna play you are a childish debater, so I'm debating with you childishly. You brought up my viewership. I showed you that it's fucking enormous, and you're like sitting here backpedaling about it, dude. How cowardly.
It's not really enormous.
It's enormous.
My daughter got over 4 million views in 30 days when she posted a video of her backing into a fire hydrant in a golf cart. So
that's enormous. Good for her. We're not talking about her. We're talking about me and you. I didn't say it's nothing. I said that's enormous. That's great. Good for her. I'm happy that
you have all those views, and yet a guy with no views is absolutely dog walking you. How does that make you feel? You got all those views, and then you have me up here.
Chad, am I being dog walked? Tell me.
Yeah, you just pivoted to your viewership.
Yeah,
you're scared.
Dude, I know that you don't argue in good faith.
You're scared of the.
All right, all right. I got the view. I got the views thing. I got the views thing. Okay, so what do you want to talk about, dude? I'll give you another try. What are we discussing? Whatever you want, popcorn.
The political violence you said exists more on the right than on the left. I think 2 guys ago.
All right, I am running a show for my audience here. Shall we continue talking about the disparity between violence on the left and the right? Yes or no, chat?
Yes, because you proved yourself wrong, but you were too dumb to realize.
I just want to know what my viewers want. How
many conservative protesters are out there violating?
But most everybody says no. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 no's, 6, 7 no's.
You pick the topic.
I just cooked 3 people on the topic. I don't think they want to hear it again. Let's move on to something else. Different topic or you get kicked.
Popcorn. Now, were you?
Nobody has debated popcorn. What you do isn't debating. What's the new topic?
No, I'm just smarter than you. Whatever you pick, man. You pick the topic because the last 2 that I tried to talk about, you bobbed and weaved and then went on to talk about
Trump is disobeying the Constitution, and any president that violates the Constitution should be impeached.
How is Trump refusing to abide by the Constitution?
Just last week, he filed an executive order that changed voting rules by banning mail-in voting, and then because the president doesn't have any authority to check election rules, which is specifically laid out in the Constitution, he threatens states that don't follow him by withholding federal funding, which is an illegal mechanism by enforcing his illegal and unconstitutional executive order. That was unconstitutional, and any president who does something that constitutional should be impeached. That's my argument.
And so how many states have abided by that? Or been affected by that?
This is all of them because he banned it nationwide. And I mean, I guess, are there any states that didn't have mail-in voting already? The point is that it's a states' rights issue. The states are supposed to have the right to run and control their elections. That's what it says in the Constitution. So him changing those rules.
Right, but they still need to follow federal guidelines, right?
No. They don't. They make their own.
They do.
No. They have to follow. They have to follow federal guidelines as set by Congress, not the president. What he did was unconstitutional.
So what he's doing is the same thing as he did with birthright citizenship.
Yeah, that was also unconstitutional.
He is pushing to have it redefined by the Supreme Court. This is the best way to do it because Congress isn't going to
No, it isn't. It's an illegal, unconstitutional way for him to do it.
It's not illegal. It's not unconstitutional.
Yes, it is.
Because it's going through the process.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. The process isn't an executive order.
It is going through the Supreme Court.
Show me. Okay, you just made a claim that the president making an executive order is part of the process for changing elections in this country or birthright citizenship, which is part of the 14th Amendment in the Constitution. I want you to defend that claim. You think that the president signing an executive order is a part of the legal process for the president to accomplish things that the Constitution says it is not his job, responsibility.
I didn't say it was a process. It's a method. It's a method. You
said it was the words you used because my memory's better than yours.
Supreme Court.
The word
because I'll tell you this: why would the politicians in Congress develop any kind of legislation if the U.S. Supreme Court is going to deem it as unconstitutional? Instead of that,
you haven't answered my concern.
So why don't you put
the words you used? The words you used is that it's
the Supreme Court rule on it.
I'm not going to let you steamroll. I asked you a question. We're not going to proceed until I get the answer to the question. You said the words that you said are that it is part of the process, and what you meant by it, if I'm not mistaken, is an executive order because
it's a part of the process that Trump is doing. Yes, it is.
Right. That's not what the process is. That's illegal and unconstitutional.
Right.
Oh, what? How well timed were those sunglasses? Who sent those?
Supreme Court
Thank you so much
deems it unconstitutional. If the Supreme Court deems it unconstitutional, if the Supreme Court, which is still
anybody with a third grade reading level can read the Constitution and see that it's
If the Supreme Court comes back and says, "Yes, Trump, we agree with you," what's going to happen? Birthright citizenship, which ain't even in the Constitution, is gone.
Didn't they already rule on it? Didn't they already deem it unconstitutional?
And not just an executive order. So that's lesson number one for you today.
It's not a lesson, dude. You don't understand how unconstitutionality works. The president can't just throw a fucking temper tantrum and do a bunch of unconstitutional shit and hope that some of it sticks with Congress and the legislative branch. Which, by the way, as a separate issue,
every president does this.
No. Give me an example. Give me an example of an executive order by a president that directly violates the Constitution. Do it now, or I'm kicking you because that's your argument.
Joe Biden. So
which one? Which executive order?
Hold on. So when it came to the Supreme Court deemed it unconstitutional, I'm trying to remember, but yes, Joe Biden did it. And so it dealt with taxes and the payoff of people's debt. So Joe Biden
did you do that by executive order?
Joe Biden did an executive order to relieve of everybody's debt when it comes to education. Supreme Court ruled that as unconstitutional. Bam, there you go. Popcorn cooks again. Off the top of the head, too. I don't have Google. I don't have AI. I'm just smarter than you.
Hey, dude, I'll hand you the W if you're right about this one. Where's the...
Dude, I'm always right, but you need Google.
You're not always right, dude.
I just know this stuff because I'm smarter than you. And before I get up here and...
What's the executive order? Which number was it?
I do the research before I get up here.
Okay, so
that's
if you
something that you should try.
So if you did the research,
number two for you.
If you did the
learn these things before you try to come up here and debate them.
Okay, I think the chat is saying that you're right, and I'm willing to hand you the W, dude. But
I'm always right.
Okay, so if you did the research, can we look at the executive order?
Sure, pull it up. I don't have a computer in front of me.
I thought you did the research.
I said I did it before I got up here. That's how I know these things. I don't need Google to look up.
Why do you get to decide how much each of us how prepared each of us are supposed to be? Because you just said that
I'm smarter than you.
But you don't have the information.
But your chat or your people down there agrees with me. They found it. So I'm sure you can too. Anyway, I got to get back to work. It's been good educating you and dog walking.
You're gonna hit the run button
again. I got to work, son. You have a good one.
Right. Wait. Okay.
Popcorn cooks
so
again.
Chat. I actually am trying to understand Popcorn's point. Chat, help me out. Okay, he left. Was it an executive order or was it a bill? Genuinely, I'm asking. Because if it was an executive order, then hey, fucking W for Popcorn. He actually came up with an example. But again, I would also argue that it's not obviously unconstitutional because it doesn't say in the Constitution, hey, President, you're not allowed to forgive student loan debt. But it does say in the Constitution, hey, President, you're not allowed to change election rules. Hey, President, children of undocumented people are citizens. Was it an executive order? Which one was it? Let's see. Zingo 110 says it's an executive order. Still not convinced the ruling said unconstitutional. You can't you can't claim you're right and in the same breath refuse to prove it. Ah, ha, 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 ha. I'm like trying to figure this out, guys. Like again, it's like I'm arguing in good faith. Like every now and then I'm wrong about something. There's like other arguments about why like that one thing that Biden did is kind of an example of the disproportionality of the problem, that people are going to hold on to that example until the rest of time when Trump does something that not just that constitutional, but even more obviously unconstitutional, like once a week. Okay, Zingo's looking for it. Yeah, if you find an executive order that was shot down of Biden's, what I'm saying is that Trump has a pattern of like every week he does something that's massively, obviously unconstitutional. That's different. We should be impeached for that. You know, I think it's not to any thinking person who speaks English well obvious that the student loan thing was unconstitutional. I think he actually had a case for doing what he wanted to do there, and he was wrong. The system worked. The system said no, and he had to go back to the drawing board on it. That's not what Trump's doing. But I'll give Popcorn the W, which is rare for him. That if he had an example of an executive order, Diavotox is going to hop up. I think we're entering. Where is it? Oh, it's almost noon. We're going to enter Just Us Girls part. The Just Us Girls part of the live. So we're just going to hang out and have fun. What's up, Diavo?
Hey, I just wanted to come up really quick because yes, it was an executive order.
Yeah, I'm amazed you had that example. He got me. W for Popcorn.
Yeah.
Trump should still be impeached.
But what Joe Biden was leaning on was the Higher Education Act of 1965 and the 2003 HEROES Act to justify the student loan. And yes, the Supreme Court told him, nah, that exceeds your authority. And the difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump is that Joe Biden dropped it. He didn't continue. And
also, I think that you know, I can take the L as a host for maybe like phrasing the question wrong, but I really think it makes a difference that it's not like there isn't a part of the Constitution that says no, Joe Biden, you can't do that. But all these things that Trump is doing, there's like literally a line in the Constitution where it's like the president's not allowed to do this, or like the person who has this power is this branch of government, not the executive, or what, like he's going directly against the obvious language. Whereas like I don't think student loans existed when the Constitution was written. Like it is a novel issue that needs to be addressed, but the idea of like birthright citizenship has been covered to death by the Supreme Court. The idea
that was going to be my next point. I was going to say there's a vast difference. He was doing that to get a gotcha. That's all he did that for.
He wrote an executive order that violated rulings that had already happened, whereas Biden did an executive order about something that was a novel situation, and the Supreme Court
new. Correct.
The Supreme Court ruled on it. He was and then so he adjusted it and like proceeded that way. And again, it's like if that's an L for Biden, that's an L for Biden. But again, it's not flagrantly unconstitutional behavior to have the Supreme Court rule against you. It is flagrantly unconstitutional to directly go against the language of the Constitution, especially when it's already been ruled on. It's bananas.
Correct. Like him going after free speech, putting college students in jail over protesting for Gaza and stuff like that. That was a clear violation of the First Amendment. His first administration, he had the executive order for bump stock bans, which they said was directly against the Second Amendment. The Fourth and Fifth Amendment with these detainees of immigrants and U.S. citizens, that's violating their Fourth Amendment and Fifth Amendment. So the things that he's doing is direct.
Yeah.
Obvious.
Yeah, I mean, not as the chat's pointing it out, I have to be careful with the language around this topic because of TikTok misinformation TOS. But he's obviously trying to make sure that things don't go the way they're supposed to in November. That's a huge, huge problem. Can you imagine, Java, the backlash that Biden would have gotten if he illegally and unconstitutionally started meddling in election policy?
Oh, the right would lose their minds. They would be calling for him to be hung, literally.
Yeah. I mean,
literally.
Yeah. Or it's the same argument that I make about like when people say like, oh, it was SA, not rape on the jury verdict form. It's like if Joe Biden had been found guilty in a court of sexual abuse, can you imagine the generations of MAGA Republicans who would be talking about it forever? I'm saying we need to stop talking about that. I'm going to Google this executive order number 14019. I'm curious.
That's what I was doing too.
14019. Promotion.
It's very different for the president to want to do something and try to push it through, or Donald Trump blatantly, flagrantly knowing that it's against the Constitution and doing it anyway. I think that's the difference, personally. just because he tried something and it failed because they said it was an overreach.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at this executive order. It's Executive Order 14019, promoting access to voting was an executive order issued by President Biden on March 7th.
Promoting access to voting?
The order, what did it do? What was the...
I'm trying to read it, but
because what Trump did is he like made a type of voting illegal, which is just not like. But what is this?
It says Executive Order 14019, titled "Promoting Access to Voting," was an executive order issued by President Joe Biden on March 7, 2021. The order was announced on March 7, 2021, on the 56th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, an incident during the 1965 Selma to Montgomery marches.
Yeah.
Some of these do the souls to the pole and stuff like that. I think it has to do with that. I'm trying to find the...
So this executive order has to do with protecting existing election law instead of changing election law.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not the same thing. That's where they do these little gotchas. That's where they think that they're winning something. But when you actually go to look at it, it's not anything like they say, and it's something that's benign. But they're like,
I love when you come on my show. I love when you come on my show, Diava, but I'm going to kick you off my show because I want to talk to Iowa Golfer. I've got some things to say to Iowa Golfer.
Oh, kick me off. I'll be listening.
Goodbye. Love you. Talk to you later.
Love you. Bye.
Okay, for background, I'll just say it. I'll bring him up. I'll ask him again how old he is for so we can remember. How old are you, Iowa Golfer?
Hey, man, 27.
That's right, 27. Yeah, dude, okay, for the audience, the reason I'm excited about Iowa Golfer is because you actually, to me, feel like a really good faith debater. I've talked to you before, and I'm a little excited because I had a clip of me talking to you that got 1.7 million views that I posted on Monday, and it's like doing a lot for my account. So I wanted to thank you for...
Oh, where's that at?
Instagram, link tree in the bio. It's
okay.
pretty recent. Sorry for posting all the clips of me dunking on you, but I did dunk on you pretty hard, and I'm apologizing to you because you're really not one of the guests I really feel any need to be all that mean to. I know we disagree in some ways that I think are pretty deplorable. I think you think some pretty bad stuff, but I do just want to be kind to you because we talked for 67 minutes, and that video is doing that's hard posted on YouTube. The conversation that we had for about an hour last week, and
yeah.
I'm getting a lot of support from it because of the fact that I was nice to you, because a lot of people are mean to people like you who are misguided in some of the ways that you are, but you're exactly the type of caller that I really try to reach, where I do think you were trying to understand the things I was saying in good faith, and I've listened back to the conversation, and I can even judge myself and see I didn't quite understand the disconnect that Iowa Golfer was having. I should have explained it this other way. So it's exciting to talk to you again, but I just want to start by being yeah, this is a show where I trick people into giving me content to promote my ability to do this more, and you fell for that, and it has done a lot of good things for me. So I just wanted to acknowledge that at the start of the call.
I'm glad you're doing good for yourself, man. That's awesome.
Appreciate that. What do you want to talk about today?
I saw your little note that you have saying impeach him, and are you talking about Trump?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you want to impeach him on?
Well, there's currently articles of impeachment working their way through the House, and there's 13 articles in those articles of impeachment, and all 13 of those things are impeachable offenses. I agree with every single one of them. So I don't think it's a good use of the live to go through and just read all those. But I can give some of the examples, maybe some of the ones we were talking about today, but just the thing we were talking about a second ago. He filed an executive order taking away people's right to mail-in vote. That's unconstitutional. That's just recent. That's just in the last week. I think that his statements on Iran, his terroristic war crime threats against Iran and the people of Iran constitute a high crime and misdemeanor for him to abuse his power in that way. And I think that those massive civil rights violations, because that's what a war crime is violating people's civil rights, or human rights, I should say. That's impeachable. I mean, I could keep going back in the history. I could talk about the things that he said about ICE doing unconstitutional things. I could talk about the time that he said that he doesn't know if he has to follow the Constitution. That's a violation of his oath to defend and uphold the Constitution, which is the entire job of the president. I could sit here and ramble for 90 minutes about unconstitutional things that he's done that should have him impeached, but those are a few examples.
All right, yeah, that's fine. Like I said, if he's got articles of impeachment against him, I haven't seen any, but who filed them? I'm actually curious.
Oh, am I going to remember it off the top of my head? It wasn't Ro Khanna, was it? Let's see. I'll Google it quick. It was definitely a name I know. It was one of the more prominent Democrats who's been articles of impeachment. Let's see. I'm going to pull this from this was April 6th, House Resolution 1155, and signed by whom? Who is this? Da-da-da-da. Does it show it in the document, or do I have to go to where it was submitted? I have to go to the submission page. Larson. Yeah, a representative from Connecticut. I was wrong. It's not somebody who I know much about. John B. Larson filed them.
Okay. Where's he from?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Okay. So when do they vote on it then?
I was actually just trying to find a direct answer on that this morning, and I couldn't. It's always a little unclear when something's going to make it to the House floor, so I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, because I think they've had a couple people bring up impeachment charges on him. Like, I don't know the number. I think it's been like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 times.
Well, so
and it never even got out of the House.
Yeah, so this term, there have been a number of times that there have been articles of impeachment against him. But this is something that we talked about in our last call, so I'll remind everybody, and I'll remind you that, like, when you say that these articles of impeachment aren't going through, it gets to the point where you can always say, like, oh, well, the legislative branch is supposed to fix that. Oh, the judicial branch is supposed to fix that. Oh, the executive branch isn't supposed to, there's this game of whack-a-mole that we can play, but the big problem is that the government isn't functioning properly right now, because the people who are in the executive branch, in the legislative branch, and in the judicial branch at the top are people who are disproportionately loyal to Trump in a way that is unconstitutional. I think that it was so obvious that Trump was guilty of his first 2 impeachment trials that happened during the ones that did make it through the House in his first term, that every single Republican that voted against them in the Senate is a traitor to this country. I assert that, and I'd say it to their face if I ever met any one of them. And I think that's the case for anybody who votes against these impeachment proceedings, because they are so obviously valid claims. The current impeaching hearing, or if it happens, like if the current effort goes through, is going to be very damning for Trump, because it will require for there to be a trial on the Senate floor where all 13 of those articles get litigated by our lawmakers. And I think that's going to make the president look bad, because I think he's guilty of every single one of those articles.
Yeah. So do you think he's been guilty of the previous impeachments that he was brought up on during this administration?
Yep.
Why didn't nobody vote for it then?
Because for the reason I just described, and I said this to you when we talked for an hour last week. Oh, sick. Heart guitar? Thank you, Robin. The issue literally is what I was explaining to you last time, is that we are in this problem where our democracy is failing from within. Because the hypothetical I laid out to you last week, that I'll lay out again just for my audience today, is that if you look at the rules of the United States government as described in the Constitution, you can ask the question, what if we elected a president who didn't respect the Constitution and had his own plans, and then we also elected enough people into the legislative branch, into the House and in the Senate, who also aren't going to respect the Constitution but are going to respect the president. And let's say that president had a term a couple terms ago where he got to pick some of the Supreme Court justices that are like the last layer of defense for making sure some of these unconstitutional things don't happen. Would democracy fail in this hypothetical? And the answer is so obviously yes, that's kind of where we left the conversation last time, because you didn't agree that that's obviously a bad situation for democracy. And I think it is obviously a bad situation for democracy, and it's the situation we're in, which is the answer to the question, why hasn't he been impeached? It's because the Republicans in Congress are traitors, is why.
Yeah. So I didn't disagree with you on that. What I said was, and I think it was actually you that had said that something is not unconstitutional until it is found by the Supreme Court to be unconstitutional. I think that's what you had said. I might be wrong.
Well, so there are, the difficulty with the Supreme Court that's corrupt in the way that I just described is that, technically speaking, anything that the Supreme Court rules as constitutional is constitutional. So they could make some crazy ruling that says that people who wear beanies that say Canada on them no longer have the First Amendment right, and that would be constitutional in the sense that it is the ruling of the Supreme Court. But you recognize that it would be, in the I'm a patriot sense, truly and obviously an unconstitutional thing, never mind the legal technicality that a corrupt Supreme Court just threw away the First Amendment. Right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'm here, man. Sorry about that. I'm trying to fill something out here real quick.
That's okay. I know you're always working when we're talking.
The biggest thing is that the Supreme Court is there to distinguish the Constitution and what it means. Yeah. And I think it's very important that we look to them to figure out what is or what is not constitutional. While you may agree or disagree with what they find constitutional or unconstitutional is a different thing, but there's a reason why the buck stops with them, right?
Right. But you're not
So-
you're not recognizing the danger, and that's really what I want to talk about. There's danger.
Well, I mean, like I had said, so the fact of the matter is that I don't remember how many justices Trump appointed. I think it was 2 or 3.
3.
The reason that is because there's a statute, or I don't even know if it's a statute. I think it's a law where the president selects Supreme Court justices whenever there's a vacancy. It's been that way ever since we've had the Supreme Court.
Right. What I'm saying is that you can have a democracy fail without breaking any of its rules if you elect people who won't follow the rules, because then they are the people who make the rules, so they can make the rules be undemocratic or unconstitutional or quite authoritarian or dangerous for people's rights. And you can like put the technical asterisk on it of like, okay, it was totally legal for Hitler appointed as chancellor to make a law that made him as chancellor inherit the country. Like he didn't break any laws on his rise to power, but it's still very bad that an authoritarian monster took control of Germany and killed a bunch of people and tried to take over the world. So what I'm saying is that you don't have to technically break the rules of like the separation of powers in order to install enough loyalists that they all just like tongue-in-cheek say, let's just pretend what we're doing is constitutional because we're in charge. That's what's happening in our country right now, and that's why we should be freaking out.
So in the same way democracy's failing. What's your definition of democracy?
Well, I guess what I mean is that in a representative democracy, which is what we live in, because we don't live in a pure democracy where everybody votes on everything. There'd be too many laws for us all to like vote on. That'd be absurd. So we elect people to do our voting for us. What I'm saying is that when I say that democracy fails, it's not in the technical sense that we're being led by the people that we're elected, because we are being led by the people that we elected. That is what's happening. What I'm saying is that the people that we elected aren't working in the interests of the people. When I say democracy fails, I'm saying that the goal of our democracy is to have our government work in favor of the people, and the government is not working in favor of the people. It's failing to do that. We have failed to elect officials who are going to protect our civil rights. We have failed to elect officials that are going to make America great. We have failed to elect officials that are going to make a better tomorrow for the average American. And that's a shame, and that can happen with democracies if you elect a bunch of assholes.
Oh. So I want to ask, because I am curious on your answer to this. So you're saying that America is not good right now. We're not doing good right now. Is there a country that you would rather live in right now than the United States?
Oh, I mean, I have Canadian citizenship because my mom was born there.
So do I. I have dual citizenship.
Yeah. So I'm getting my paperwork in order in case I need to flee because the feds might come for me because of what I've been doing. That's a thing I really seriously worry about. I worry about legal prosecution from the federal government for what I'm doing to exercise my First Amendment right and get more people concerned about this, because the people around me are being persecuted in that way. Those church protesters who are getting the book thrown at them because they accidentally tripped over a particular law that protects churches from protesters, those people are my friends. Like those are the people that I'm like messaging on Instagram while I'm sitting on the toilet, and like I am terrified constantly of a knock on the door. So like I would rather live in Canada for my safety. I'd rather live in Norway for my like healthcare and public policy and stuff. But I am an American. I believe in the American experiment, and I want America to catch back up to the rest of the world, because we're up to some really cool stuff over here. But we are seriously fucking it up by letting the people at the top consolidate the wealth and not use it to make life better for the everyday people, which is what Canada's doing, which is what the European countries that are now becoming the proper leaders of the free world are doing. So I don't want to jump ship. I want to stay here and get back on track with all this stuff. I'm just saying that we've elected people who aren't going to do that. We've elected people who are going to continue this process of wealth consolidation and removal of human rights that are in the way of them doing all the bad stuff they want to do. It's a very, very bad situation. And if the midterms are free and fair, we can save America from it by having a blue wave, which it doesn't matter to me that the wave is blue. It matters to me that the wave is constitutional. It's that these are elected officials who will impeach the president if he commits high crimes and misdemeanors, which the current legislative branch will not do for some fucking reason. I know the reason, but I'm just saying it is a matter of obvious fact that we have a legislative branch that is refusing to impeach a president who, for like literally hundreds of different things that he's done, could be impeached.
Are you planning on voting against Democrats that have voted against impeaching him then?
Well, no, just because I think that they're like, just because a Democrat votes against one of these current impeachment efforts doesn't mean they don't think that Trump should be impeached. What they're saying is it's not a good use of the legislative branch's time to have another impeachment trial. I do disagree with them on that. I think it's good for the public to see these trials. I think that's bad for Trump, and I support the impeachment efforts. But that's not the same as saying, like, they're not contributing materially to the problem. They just disagree about how to solve it. And that's not evil. That's not we're still on the same team, even if we disagree on some particular approach to handling this. Me and other content creators disagree about how to handle this. There's an entire swath. The activists on Instagram, like a lot of them think that what I'm doing is trashy, that I'm sitting here and giving you airtime, giving you a platform. I get hate messages every day for platforming people like yourself. The fact that I give you a voice, the fact that 1.7 million people heard me tell you that I wanted to pay for free healthcare by not bombing kids in Iran, like the fact that thousands of people go and listen to that hour-long conversation on YouTube and it has hundreds and hundreds of hours of people listening to it, like the fact that I'm doing that makes some people on this side upset, but those people and me are still on the same team. We still want to defend the Constitution and we still want Trump to be impeached. That's the important thing. There's minutia to argue about, but the minutia is not fucking important. The Constitution's important. The president being a rapist is important. The president threatening war crimes in Iran and committing war crimes in Iran, by the way, is bad. Like all that's the big stuff, and we're sitting here talking about minutia.
Okay, so the president being impeached. Let's say they impeach him. What does that solve?
The president being impeached?
Yeah, he's already been impeached before, and he's still the president.
Well, yeah, I would hope that he's convicted as well. I would say so. There's two questions here. Are you saying what's the value in him being impeached if he's not going to be convicted, or are you asking what's the value of impeaching him and convicting him if the system is this corrupt? Which question are you asking?
Yeah, what is the value of him being impeached and not convicted? Because everything he's doing right now has been found by the Supreme Court to be...
Okay, if I could host this show from the Senate floor, I would, because a lot of people would watch it, right?
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, I explained to you in our last conversation that one of the things I do is I point a camera at myself and I share my thoughts and feelings and I educate people about the facts of the matter, and I do that because I want more people to think like me. If I had did this show from the House floor, from the Senate floor, it would get a lot of attention and people would hear me more. But we don't need me to do that. If we impeach the president, even if he doesn't get convicted, that will give our 47 Democratic senators an opportunity to do exactly that from the Senate floor. Preach to the American people about the illegal things that President Trump has done. And even if that doesn't result in a conviction, it will certainly result in more people being opposed to his presidency and in favor of the midterm elections. It will help the midterm election turnout if people see those impeachment trials, even if he's not convinced. So it's a public relations matter. Obviously, I want him to be impeached. I want him to be convicted. But if we can get an impeachment without a conviction, that is still a win, because those 53 Republican senators will be forced to squirm and defend the 13 high crimes and misdemeanors that Trump is accused of in the impeachment articles. And those 13 high crimes and misdemeanors are things that he has obviously done. So it would force a discussion. And clearly, as the host of this debate live, I think it should be obvious to everybody that I want there to be more discussion about this stuff. You're muted. I didn't hit the button. Maybe it's noisy where you are.
There we go. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So I remember this happening a month, maybe, I don't know. Christ, could have been a year ago. I don't remember.
Wait. I want to hear about a month ago, but I do just want to ask if you understand and potentially agree with what I said, is that there's benefit,
that's fine.
benefit to the public display of the trial, even if there's no conviction. Okay.
Yeah. So, but the one thing I'm saying is that I remember here a while ago, I don't remember who it was, that Booker guy, Cory Booker. Yeah. He went on and did a speech in the Senate for 10 hours or something, or however long it was. I don't
25.
Remember.
He broke the...
Or
he broke,
20, yeah,
yeah,
so
he broke
25 hours.
The filibuster record, yeah.
Yeah, and during the whole time, he was sitting there just shitting on Trump for things that he was illegally doing, and it really solved nothing.
I don't think that it solved nothing. I'm going to argue against that. So I want to share with you a statistic that I may have shared with you in our previous call, because I bring it up sometimes. But it's one of the most fascinating and hope-inspiring statistics I have seen about public sentiment through this time, which is that a poll was conducted in December of 24 and December of 25. So 1 year apart, most recently this past December. And the question was, do you feel that the system of checks and balances in our country is working? And in December of 2024, 1/3 of people thought that the system was not working, but 2/3 of people, roughly, a number in the 30s and a number in the 60s, I'm rounding, roughly 2/3 of people thought that the system was working. Here we are a year into Trump's administration, December of 2025, and the same question gets asked with the same polling methodology, and the result has flipped. 2/3 of people polled think that the system is not working. 1/3 of people's, because like I'll say that, like, is that 1/3 and 2/3 accurate? Hard to say with polling data. It could be a different percentage, but when you have the same polling methodology used twice and the across a different time span, and the answer changes that dramatically, even if we can't be sure exactly how many people that is, it's undeniable from that polling data that an enormous number of people in that 12-month period became convinced that the system of checks and balances aren't working. That is a fucking W for me and people like me. And it is because of things like people getting on debates and talking about this. It's because of Dean Withers. It's because of all these attempts to impeach Trump. It's because of all this discourse around it. It's because of the things that Cory Booker said in his 25-hour speech, because that got a lot of attention. It's quite the political stunt to stand up and speak wearing a diaper for 25 hours. Craziness. Kind of zany, because the politics can sometimes be zany when people start like abusing the rules like that. But all of that contributed to everyday people realizing that this is a big fucking problem. The country's like broken in the sense of like this machine of democracy that the Constitution describes broken. That stuff's not working right now. And when I saw that 1/3 of people had switched teams and it had flipped from 1/3 and 2/3 to the other way around on thinking that the government is functioning in a way that protects democracy, that was the first glimmer of hope I had in a long time that we might navigate out of this through discourse instead of civil war, because that's what I'm really worried about. Because
so you're saying democracy again?
Yeah. Well, I just mean specifically the polling question was, is the system of checks and balances working? Do you know what the system of checks and balances is?
The idea of it, yeah.
So specifically, it's that because we have these three branches of government, the executive branch that the president runs.
Not one branch becomes too powerful.
Right.
Yeah.
So if the president does something bad, Congress or the legislative branch or the judicial branch, the Supreme Court, are supposed to stop him. And what we're witnessing is that is just not fucking happening. The president is doing things that are obviously wrong, and Congress is saying, "Oh yeah, we think that's okay," even though Cory Booker is screaming for 25 hours that it's not.
Like I said, just because one group of people thinks that something is wrong or bad does not make it illegal or wrong or whatever. I mean, you're going to find people.
You're putting the cart before the horse. What I'm arguing is not that it's wrong and illegal because so many people think that. What I'm saying is that it is encouraging to see that so many people now understand that what's happening is wrong and illegal. The more education there is about this, the more discourse, the more that time goes on and people see what's going on, not to mention the fact that the problem is getting worse every day. Trump continues to do more and more illegal things constantly. I'm saying that the public sentiment is turning on him. This is why his approval rating is going down, because what is happening is so obviously bad.
Yeah. Okay. So now I am interested to hear this point now.
Okay.
Because Trump's done after this term. I mean, he's done. No more Trump.
Mm-hmm.
What's your guys' campaign going to even focus on for this next campaign? Because the last two campaigns, I think you'll agree, is just that Trump's bad.
Yeah, Trump has dominated American politics, and I have worked pretty hard to move against the idea that like the reason impeaching him successfully would be such a big win is because then J.D. Vance would become president, which is not something I'm excited about. But J.D. Vance would be president of an America that impeaches its Donald Trumps, and that would encourage him not to be.
It already does.
No, because we have a Donald.
He's been impeached.
I mean convicted. Like they successfully impeach.
Trump's been criminally convicted already before. That clearly doesn't matter to a lot of American people.
Okay, I'll rephrase it. I want if J.D. Vance becomes president because Trump finishes his term, dies, or otherwise leaves office, I would much prefer it happen in a way such that J.D. Vance then knows that he can't behave like Donald Trump or he will be ousted from office, because Trump hasn't been ousted from office, and I think that he should be.
Because you don't agree with him.
Because I think he's doing high crimes and misdemeanors. I think he's doing illegal, unconstitutional things.
Whose decision would it be to determine if he's doing illegal things like high crimes?
I don't think you need a very high reading level to read the Constitution and see that Trump is doing illegal things.
Okay, so here we go again.
The snake is eating its tail. This is the same conversation we had last week, which is that you can say that, well, if he was doing something so wrong, the legislative branch would stop him or the judicial branch would stop him. But what I'm saying is that it's very clear that there's a type of corruption happening where the legislative branch and the judicial branch are refusing to do that, because if you educate yourself...
Not true.
It is.
The Supreme Court stopped him on several things already. during this administration, saying you can't do that.
I have a response
They
to
are
that.
willing to check him.
I have a response to that, which is that if Trump had decided to, like, day one, institute all his policies, on the first day of his presidency, he sends ICE into Minnesota, starts bombing Iran, like all this stuff, if he did it all in one day, it would happen too quickly and there'd be too much public backlash and there'd be, like, really serious revolt. They have to slowly turn the temperature up on us so that we don't know that the water's getting to boiling. And that's, like, part of the course of any sort of takeover. So, within that machine, every single Republican lawmaker, every single member of Trump's cabinet, and every single Supreme Court justice has their own life and career to worry about. So the exact decisions they make about how quickly we might want to turn up that temperature, that fascistic authoritarian temperature, is going to vary from person to person. So you see the occasional L, like Trump having his tariffs overturned by the Supreme Court, because they were so frankly, so obviously, flagrantly unconstitutional that the Supreme Court judges themselves, who are individual humans with their own thoughts and feelings and lives and careers to worry about, thought, I think we're turning up the temperature too fast. So they didn't give him that W. And that's that's part of the work that's being done by Trump's administration and by the treasonous Republicans in Congress to support this, is that there are going to be wins and losses along the way, but the trend is clear. The trend towards disobeying the Constitution further and further is clear. He left. I don't know I don't know if that was an accident. But that's my point. You know, it's like that, and that's where that conversation with that guy went previously. It's that, like, you can just keep saying, well, why don't they impeach him? Well, why doesn't the Supreme Court do something about it? But you can hypothetically suppose a situation where there's so much corruption in those branches that the separation of powers isn't working, and then the system just doesn't work, and they can do whatever they want. And I argue that that's what's happening. And a third of Americans have been convinced in the first year of Trump's presidency that that's what's happening, and that's why that polling data switched. I don't know if that call is going to make it to YouTube. It wasn't as interesting as the first one. But if anybody is watching this after the fact on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe and all that nonsense. Hit up the link tree in my bio. Follow me on the other platforms, because that helps me for free. And if you want to help me in a way that isn't free, there's ways to do that in the link tree in the bio. Is it just us girls time? I've actually got some callers waiting, but no, it's 12:23 and I have so much video editing I need to do. Oh my God, I'm so behind on editing my lives into clips and YouTube conversations, and I still haven't pushed my big, like, more documentary style video about what happened on Saturday with Savannah Hernandez. Let's see, we're an hour 58 into the live, so I'll hang out for a few minutes and I'll talk to people to make sure I get that 2 hours. I am going to close the requests, so if you've been waiting, nickname, you've been waiting for a long time, I'm sorry. So, you know, another time, but I am going to enter the just chill out part of the live where I hang out with the chat for a few minutes. There are 170 oil tankers in our Gulf buying American oil. Keep watching. What are we talking about in the chat? You guys talking about oil? What's going on over there? I don't know. Anyway, Q&A time. Anybody want to talk to me about anything? Trump's base does not see Trump appeals for once finally ruled. It's old news, and for MAGA TDS. No. Nickname says no worries next time. I appreciate you. Some people get so mad when they sit in the queue a long time, and it's just like, sorry, my show's getting popular. Ryan's friendly. He just wanted to come up and say something. I'll allow it. You can hop back in the queue. I'll say hello to you quick. This is the part of the live where I don't care about attracting new viewers and all that stuff. So I appreciate the likes and all that stuff, but I am just hanging out for a few minutes. I think it's good for, obviously I like talking to you guys. I wish I could spend more of the live just like chatting and being friendly. It is just terrible for the live performance. So I do what a lot of the other live streamers have figured out is the sensible way, is that I do the live as like a very serious, like, debates only. This is the show we're doing. The credits have rolled. This is the post credits hanging out time. So Ryan, if you want to hop up and say your piece, now's the time. Let's see. Just wanted to say the checks are just an illusion right now. They are not true checks. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that like a caller like that one is still just going to say like, well, here's an example of the Supreme Court ruling against him. It's like, right, I have 80 examples of something him doing not properly being solved by the checks and balances. So yeah, it's just that disproportionality. You can just do so much that there's always a what about. There's always what about this, what about that, what about this. And it's like, well, here's the thing. I've been following this closely for years, and the general trend is really obvious. It's a general trend towards unconstitutionality. There's a small handful of examples that people bring up about Biden and Obama. Some airstrikes, which were bad. The student loan things, which I don't even think was bad. It just was ruled unconstitutional. But like, those are your examples when the president is a rapist, when the president is bombing children in Iran and denying it, when the president is allowing armed thugs to violate the civil liberties of people in states that he doesn't like the leadership of. Like, it just doesn't compare. There's this issue of proportionality. What about inviting people up that are leaving, thinking about leaving, or recently left MAGA? Yeah, again, that's the sort of thing I'd be happy to do at the end of the call, because I really do just enjoy like sitting and talking with you guys. But I do just know that for, like if I run the live in exactly the way that I want to, it won't perform well, which means I have to run the live in a way that performs well and then like use that good performance to get what I want out of the live, which is to have these real conversations. So sometimes I'll let my viewership go up really high with a crazy guest who's really not that productive to talk to. And then I'll let the viewership drip down with like a more sensible conversation that I think is more productive. And I have to like dial the knob on that as I go through the live. Machadi says, I've just seen very few people doing that. Well, yeah, it's probably for the type of reason that I just described. But I also think that part of the problem is that those people are actually kind of difficult to find. I think people who just left MAGA are really embarrassed, like they to realize you've been wrong all this time. Think about somebody who's voted for him 5 times, as that popcorn caller always says, because he voted for him in a couple primaries and then 3 elections. Where it's like, yeah, like you have to admit that you've been wrong about how politics should be run for a decade. You've been conned for 10 years. That's tail between your legs. Like that's got to hurt emotionally. So I'm not surprised that those people don't want to come up and get more people to feel the way that they do, because I bet they feel terrible. It's not a good day for a person who realizes that I'm right about Trump. Like I can respect the fact that might feel like a piece of you is being ripped out of your chest. You shouldn't feel that way about your political candidates. We don't feel that way about our political candidates on the right, which is why when Joe Biden does bad things, I can say that's bad. When he runs again, when he said he wasn't going to, I can say that's bad and that I don't support it. I'm mad that I might have to vote for him. When I can see his debate performance with Trump and say, yeah, dude, he shouldn't be running. This is crazy. He lost the debate against Trump. It shouldn't be hard for us to produce a presidential candidate who can win a debate against Trump. He's Trump. You got to be sharp. You got to have a sharp tongue. You got to be pushy. You got to be able to talk over people. And Biden just isn't quick enough. He's old, going senile. If you look at Joe Biden's debate performance from 20 to 30 years ago, that guy would have destroyed Trump in a debate, but that's not the guy he is anymore. So like I can be honest about that because it doesn't hurt my feelings to not support Joe Biden. I don't have those sorts of feelings about my leadership. I just care about what policies get passed in this country. I want them to be good ones. I do not want to hear anyone who left MAGA say anything but Kamala would have been better. Yeah, I mean, that's like really the thing when like we can get through all these conversations about Trump doing all these horrible things, and then so often it's like, yeah, well, I still just think Kamala's worse. And it's like he's a fucking rapist. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's craziness. Y'all are obsessed with Trump. Correct. He's destroying the country I live in. Very bad. I'm obsessed with the problem. I keep sharing my thoughts and feelings about it on the internet to strangers. It's going great doing that, but I will gladly admit. So now you care about laws, but not immigration laws. Can't pick and choose. I actually would be less mad about the immigration situation because I don't like the immigration laws. I wish they would change. But the bigger problem is that the ICE agents aren't following the laws. They are violating people's civil liberties. If we could have a different, when people say that Obama deported so many people and we weren't mad about it, it's because he was doing it in a way that's fucking legal, my guy. We are the party of law and order, whether you like it or not. You've just been lied to about that. The only things worth caring about are guns and trucks, women, and malt liquor. Oh, man, that's me on a Friday night, but during the day I'm a political debater. I talk about more nuanced things. Anyway, I should make sure I read the chat because I asked people to talk. I wish I would have known all this stuff that's come out about him before he got voted in. Yeah, and then, some of it wasn't known to the public, so there's people like me are educating people and getting it out there, what he's done. Yeah, the FAKE elector plot needs more attention. Just MAGA thinks it's the January 6th riot. Yeah, insane that he didn't go to federal prison for doing that. Minnesota Angry Man's probably going to go to federal prison for assaulting a person. He tried to overthrow the country, and he's walking free. Not only is he walking free, he's the president. It's craziness. Let's see what else we got in the chat. Hello, everybody. Obama would slaughter Trump in a debate. I'd love to see Obama and Trump debate. Oh my God, I've seen some recent interviews. He's not getting elderly led. He's still quick. Do you think there should be an age cap on who can run for president? Fuck yes, absolutely. I argue for 62. so that we don't, so that you're not in your 70s at the end of your second term. I think we should add 4 years to the age thing for a second term. So if you want to run for your first term, like you can run for one term, but maybe you can't run again if you start running as a 65-year-old. That's what I'd be in favor of. We don't allow pilots who are 80 have to fly with a relief pilot because the rules in aviation are so strictly designed based on safety standards, and they're so apolitical because they just do the good work of designing policy that's like effective for safety. You're not allowed to fly solo if you're over the age of 80, no matter how good your health is, because 80-year-olds have this problem where they just die sometimes. So you have to have a relief pilot if you're over 80. It doesn't matter if it's your own private plane. And like, the fact that we don't have that sort of guardrail for the person running the fucking country, the fact that we don't have that sort of guardrail for the person who has the nuclear launch codes, insanity. Literally had a prosecutor versus a felon, and they still chose a felon. Yeah. I'm more pissed that he's not deporting people. Yeah, I mean, he's not even doing a good job of the terrible things he wants to do. Ageist? Yeah, you're allowed to be ageist. Like, that's fine. Children are unintelligent. People who are very, very old lose their mental fortitude. These are ageist things to say, and they're accurate. And the reason it's not a problem is because we all live a life. We were all stupid children. Hopefully we will all get to be like, adults melting in a chair, happy that we're being taken care of by whoever's taking care of us while we're like living our, final years after we've lost our competency. So like, I am allowed to be ageist. That's valid. People never understand that. Kids are stupid. That's duh, right? Like, babies are really stupid. That's why we don't let them vote. That's why we don't let them drive cars. They're bad at it. They're dumb. But anyway, yes, you're right. We should impeach Gavin Newsom. Fun troll. Call in sometime. All right, I read the chat. Iowa golfer's back, so I do want to wrap up the stream, but I'm just gonna see. I'm gonna see if we can button that up. What's up, Iowa golfer? Did you drop out and you have a phone issue or something?
Yeah, I had a phone call. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. Yeah.
Got to run a business.
Yeah, but I mean, we were kind of wrapping up the same point that we got to last week, which is that like you can keep saying that this or that is supposed to happen, and because that's not happening, then Trump is like obviously not that guilty or whatever. But like you're falling for the trap that I keep explaining to you, which is that you can just install enough people in the government who aren't going to follow the rules, so that what you just said about all what you always say about how he's not getting impeached, he's not getting convicted, he's not this or that. It's like, well, yeah, like that is the problem.
So then, do you think we don't live in a democracy then?
I think they're right.
All the people that are voting to do this stuff, except for the Supreme Court, we did not elect the Supreme Court, but we elected the House of Representatives, we elected the Senate, we elected the President. Right. I mean, the people that we vote to
we elected them,
take care of these things, we elected those people. That's democracy in working right there.
We elected them. But when we elect them, there's this thing that we, the voter, must expect our politicians to do, which is that when they start their term, they take an oath of office. And in their oath of office, they swear to uphold and defend the Constitution. So according to the Constitution, we're supposed to elect people who take that oath and then don't violate it. So just given that that's a description of how our democracy is supposed to be working, then no, we're not functioning. We're not in that functioning democracy described in the Constitution, because the lawmakers simply are not upholding their oath to the Constitution. And that's plainly obvious to anybody watching closely, because there is a lot. There's so much going on.
Not a democracy. What are we?
We're quickly becoming an authoritarian regime.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your viewpoint. That's fine. I don't have an issue with that. You can view it the way you want, I guess.
Yeah. Well, when people like look, people don't like the term fascism because people disagree so much about how it's defined, and some people like really only want to use it for descriptions of Italians from the 30s. But if you look at Britt's 14 points of fascism, and we can just sidestep that people don't like that as a definition of fascism, it is a list of things that 5 dictators from the 20th century did that they all had in common about the ways that they overthrew the freer countries that they started with. Many of those countries started as democracies. And there's these things that these terrible people who committed mass atrocities through the 20th century have in common. And when we see our president doing all of them, including a bunch of these unconstitutional things that I've described, I sit here and say, like, yeah, we're losing our democracy. The slider is being moved from representative democracy to authoritarian regime every day. So every day I'm more upset about this and more worried about it, and I come on and talk about it. I'm more and more concerned all the time. And I just so like the system fails from within in a democracy. It's an uneducated populace. If you lie to the voting population, they will lie. They will vote for things that are bad for them, or they can, depending on what you're tricking them to believe.
So do you think we're just past fixing it then?
I think the midterms can save us if people really push their lawmakers to do that. If enough Republicans, it wouldn't take very many Republicans completely believing people like me who say that the SAVE Act is bad for democracy for them to not vote for it, because it only needs a few Republicans to flip for it to not pass in the House. And it is unpopular. So it is like statistically like not like the betting markets say that it's only like a 10 or 20% chance that it'll pass. I would say that's playing Russian roulette with the entire country. Though that is way too big. That is a concerningly big. If I told you there was a 20% chance that your house is going to burn down today, you'd be freaking out, right? Like those might sound like small numbers, but they're not. But the reason those numbers are so small is because it's so flagrantly an effort to disenfranchise voters that that there are Republicans who are against it as it's written right now. So there is a potential that enough people being upset, enough people calling their lawmakers, enough people letting their lawmakers know that they will never hold public office again if they vote for the SAVE Act, that will prevent the SAVE Act from being voted for. And if the SAVE Act and it isn't voted for, and Trump's illegal unconstitutional efforts to meddle with the 2026 midterm elections that are coming up later this year, if those efforts fail, if we hold him to the court's rulings on it, if the courts hold him to the Constitution, which might happen for the same way because we saw the Supreme Court turn on him with tariffs, maybe they'll turn on him with mail-in voting. If that happens, if the midterms are free and fair, it is my prediction that we're going to see the biggest blue wave in American history. Because as I've said to you in previous calls, and I've certainly said on this live, what he's doing, all this shit I'm describing, is massively unpopular and less popular with each passing day because of the work that people like myself are doing.
Yeah. So I'm just to clarify, if the SAVE Act passes, you think America fails?
We're fucking hosed if the SAVE Act passes. Absolutely. I'm very worried about it.
Okay. Is that going to be your turning point to move to Canada?
I don't know, man. I really do weigh that because it is a thing I practically think about. Personally, I'm way more worried about like the feds coming for me for my protesting activities than like the potential outcome of like the midterms being rigged. If the SAVE Act passes, it's not like I'm going to bail immediately, but like, yeah, I might look at who gets elected in the midterms and think we're hosed. I need to flee to Canada, and I don't want to do that. I want to stay and defend my democracy. I'm a patriot. I believe in this country, but there will come a point where it's like not worth me essentially committing self-unaliving. I almost said the word, which would have gotten me banned. By staying here, because I already am like. Republicans on here like dunk on me for saying this, but I'm already a noteworthy enough like public figure in this thing, especially because it's kind of a small community of people who are at the forefront of the activism movement here in Minneapolis, and I'm one of them. I really have to worry about a degree of prosecution that's going to come for me faster than the average American. I'm putting myself on the line in that way. That's why I get death threats all the time. That's why.
I'll tell you one thing, man. If you're in Minneapolis, there's a lot more people with heat on them in Minneapolis than you. I wouldn't be too worried about it.
I mean, there are, I'm not as popular as DeWoke Farmer. I'm not as popular as Robbie Roadsteamer. But like,
well, no, what I'm saying is the federal government's worried about the fraud right now in Minnesota more than anything.
No, they're not. Metro Surge happened and they didn't catch any fraudsters, and they declared victory even though Metro Surge was allegedly started to address fraud. They're lying to you about caring about fraud. They care about people like me because I convince people like you that they're being lied to.
Yeah.
They are doing a better job of going after people who are just trying to share this information with people like yourself than they are going after fraudsters. No fraudsters were caught during Metro Surge. Immigration Customs Enforcement isn't even the type of law enforcement that you're supposed to use to address fraud, even to investigate fraud, even if it's being committed by illegal immigrants, because ICE are supposed to be experts on catching an illegal immigrant, and like you can deport somebody who's committing fraud, and that's a way of getting them. But if we want to know who's committing fraud to deport the right people, it's fraud investigators that do that, which is like a totally different profession, a totally different like career path within law enforcement. And we can just see plain as day. Yeah, exactly. But that's just plain as day isn't what they're doing. They're going after people like me.
They're not using FBI in Minnesota?
I mean, yeah, to investigate people like me. I'm very worried about the
You're
knock on
under
the door.
investigation. You're under
I
investigation
am.
with the FBI.
I am. They're investigating the altercation that I broke up, and the right is coming after me and calling me a woman beater somehow for breaking up a fight with Savannah Hernandez at the Whipple on Saturday. So yeah, like JD Vance talked about the fight that I broke up and said that he told Cash Patel that he'd do a thorough investigation of everybody who was there and everybody that and every organization that supported them, and that he would shut down the streams of revenue that are supplying people with motivation to be there. So that is a very broad way to include as many people as possible in that type of investigation. And as per the words that JD Vance said on television the other day, that would include me. Because I'm a person who is prominent in this scene and does have actually, like, if we're going to talk about the accusations about paid protesters, I make a little money doing this, you know, like I'm trying to make a push.
You get paid to protest?
I get paid to do these live streams. So like there's a financial component of what I'm doing because people want to support me doing it more. So that puts a target on my back because the federal government looks at someone like me and says, oh, fuck this Oskar guy. His account's growing so fast. He has so many Instagram followers. He's like raising a big stink about Savannah Hernandez because he and his buddy Derek like helped, you know, pull Minnesota Angry Man off of her. And now he's using that as a platform to like continue to attack her political ideologies because I don't like her and I have words for her. Yeah. And me and him are trying to get a debate and we're making her look bad. We have a trolling campaign against her that we're doing on Instagram right now, and it's working. You know, it's causing a lot of discourse about this thing. So like, yes, the answer is the FBI investigating me. Yeah, the vice president said on television that the FBI is investigating me a couple of days ago. That's pretty fucking scary, dude. Like that I got a little sweaty.
Yeah. I am actually curious about this. So you do like the No Kings protests and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I gotta ask you, why do people dress up like inflatable animals and shit like that and go out and do this? Because do they understand that it kind of makes them look a little ridiculous?
I'm sorry, I had to just appeal a quick thing on my live. Say that again.
There you go. Why do people like dress up like inflatable animals and like just like blatantly like over exaggerate their clothing and stuff like that? Do they realize it kind of makes them look a little ridiculous?
Yeah. It actually has a label that like addresses that, which is it's called like the absurdist protest movement, because it literally the fact that you are here thinking about it is a demonstration of the fact that it's working. Like, you know, when we like play with a bunch
I don't think about like the protest. I think about how ridiculous they look when they're trying to do it. But
what's more ridiculous, dressing like a giraffe or electing a rapist president?
I would say electing a rapist president. I don't think he's ever been charged with rape.
We went through all that so much in the previous call. I'm going to sidestep it because we've been over that. Like we had a 20-minute discussion about it that people can go find on YouTube. But the point is, the point of dressing like a giraffe or a frog or wearing a big, you know, fake schlong hanging out your pants or whatever, like all these silly things that we do, singing silly parody songs and dancing and being goofy, is because when you ask us that question, we get to answer, right, why is this the thing you're thinking about instead of the obviously actually ridiculous thing that's happening, which is that we've allowed a rapist president. That's. So
can I ask you a question? Why was Kamala Harris so unpopular that Donald Trump, a rapist, was elected over her? How is it that she was so unpopular?
You asked me that question. You asked me that question in the previous call, and there's actually an Instagram clip that has like 20 or 30,000 views of me answering it directly. So I'll just answer it again, which is that this big media machine that's controlled by the wealthy and powerful billionaires and the politicians that they've bought determine how you come to know what you know. They control what's in your feed. They control what gets pushed out. And people like me have to fight against the grain on social media to be popular. And
do you think that the big media companies are all loyal to Trump?
What I'm saying is that if I told you, hey, my friend Kamala is like a super awful blah, 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 if I said a bunch of mean things about her and you believed me for some reason, that's not her fault. She didn't do anything wrong. She's the victim in that case. So stop blaming Democrats for not being willing to play as dirty as the Republicans. The problem isn't that the Democrats aren't playing dirty enough. I don't want them to play dirty. The problem is that the Republicans are playing dirty. They're lying to you, dude.
So is it the Republicans that are lying, or is it that the media is lying?
The media is disproportionately controlled by the Republicans and their billionaire donors.
So who would you say are the biggest media corporations in the United States?
Well, there's like the Fox umbrella, which has like a ton of stuff in it. And then
there's Fox, and then there's like MS Now, CBS, CNN, CBS. And I don't think I've ever seen CNN, CBS, MS Now,
you just listed,
ABC. I don't think I've ever seen any of them say one positive thing about President Trump.
You just listed a bunch of media organizations, but all of those media organizations themselves fall under a small amount of corporations. You technically only listed 1, 2, or 3 companies just now.
Yeah, and like the biggest ones. The biggest ones that most people turn to for their news and their information.
Well, I actually didn't get on to the next thing, which is that social media is a huge driver of what people actually believe, what actually gets pushed to them, what they actually spend their time on, because
would you agree that there's more people speaking out against Trump than supporting him on social media? I absolutely would.
Wait, I don't. Wait, ask the question again. I want to make sure I understand.
So would you agree that there are more people who are anti-Trump than pro-Trump on social media?
It's hard to tell because there's no way to check that. But
I can tell you this. I vote for President Trump. I vote for Republicans, and my social media, whatever you call it, the thing that knows what I like, it knows that, but I still get, like you, and I actually do like talking to you, Oscar. I love your live. I love what you do. I love that we can have a decent conversation. I'm glad that I can help you kind of succeed in the United States, and you can take my clips and you can make money with it. That's awesome. That just shows how great the United States is.
I'm glad you're willing on that, because I think I'm glad we have at least that common ground. But the chat's rescuing me on this, which is that the algorithm, like you just get served whatever you get served when you're scrolling. Right, and that causes people to say things like, oh, have you seen this? It's really big on social media. And I have to say, no, it's really big on your social media. It feels big to you because you think, when people say, oh, it's all over TikTok. No, it isn't. TikTok's enormous. It's all over your TikTok, and people don't realize that it is these wealthy, powerful elites who get to decide what that type of thing is. And there's certain biases, like I find that Insta in particular is like the least like right-leaning of all of them, because they still do want our money. TikTok still wants the money that they make by having me do my live show on here. But I mean, Facebook and YouTube have been shown to be just like completely disproportionately biased towards promoting content that's pro-Trump. There's like a bunch of ways in which this has all been found. And like I said earlier, all these media corporations, it's not Fox versus everybody else. List the major 20 news networks, and they're all controlled by 3 media conglomerates, one of which owns Fox also. And then the ones that own that also own Fox, or the ones that own the other networks, like even CNN is owned by a media structure where at the top, the people in power of that pyramid of control, that corporate structure, are Trump supporters who donate to his campaign. So oh sweet, my appeal was approved. W host. I was not trying to direct people to other platforms. I was just talking about other platforms. Anyway, love it when an appeal gets approved. But yeah, my point is that it is these wealthy and powerful Trump supporters that donate money directly to his campaign that get to decide what information gets pumped in front of you by it appearing on your phone screen when you open the app.
So I am interested on this. How much money did Trump spend during his last presidential campaign to get elected?
I have no idea.
Because I think Ms. Harris spent like $1.5 billion or something, I think. I'm actually going to look at this quick.
All right, he's going to go look it up quick, but I hope he knows we can't hear him when he navigates away from the phone. So I'll take a moment. We kind of came back from the no girl, just us girls part of the live, because I wanted to talk to Iowa golf for a little bit long. So if you guys want to keep double tapping away, we can get some more people in here. But I am probably going to wrap it up pretty soon. He's going to say that he's upset that she spent campaign funds on her campaign. Yeah, I mean, again, when Iowa golfer gets back, I'm probably going to accuse him of whataboutism.
So it was $1.5 billion for Miss Harris, $1.47 billion for Trump. So they spent the same amount of money, right? In theory, I mean, if you consider 3 points a big difference, then it would be a big difference. But they spent about the same amount of money. And he's still
right. But if you have the favor of the person, who owns Meta Platforms, Mark Zuckerberg, then you don't need him to donate money to your campaign. What you need him to do is tweak his algorithm so that people get spoon-fed information that will trick them into electing a rapist president. So the campaign finance numbers don't matter when you have the power that these wealthy people have.
Meta was found guilty of. What the hell was it?
There was
a land pushing certain things during the pandemic.
Yeah, Russian
during the
interference
pandemic of like saying that like this stuff is like they were found guilty of supporting left-leaning ideologies. So that doesn't make any sense.
that was back then. The landscape has really changed. It's actually only in the last couple of years that the major like social medias have like also completely fallen. Like Mark Zuckerberg is like a traitor to the left because he was liberal while it was popular, and then when it became obvious that he should support Trump to get what he wants, which is more power on the global stage.
I would argue that it's never been more popular to be a liberal than now.
If you're a billionaire who wants more power, the thing to do is support Trump. We're not talking about public popularity. He doesn't care what I think.
So I am kind of curious on this. What percentage of billionaires support Democrats over Republicans?
Oh, I bet it.
I would say it's probably more 1%ers that support Democrats than
really
Republicans.
Political
I would almost bet on
leanings
it.
of the 1%. I wonder what there's good data on that. But what I'll try to find that on the side here. But what you're really not hearing, dude, is that like, do you recognize that it doesn't matter how much money gets donated to somebody's campaign? Because I could donate, like I could pick some random Senate seat or like some random House seat and say like donate $100 million to the guy I want. Yeah. But if if the other guy makes zero, has no campaign money, but he has Mark Zuckerberg who owns Facebook and Instagram working to get the algorithm to trick people into voting for him, that's bigger than the $100 million. That's going to do more for his turnout.
Trump was elected back in 2016 without the support of Mark Zuckerberg. He didn't need that support. What I'm saying is
Trump has become harder to elect because he's done more egregious things since then.
The Democrats put up people who are just unpopular. The Democrats are unpopular. I think you can agree with that.
Here's an old article.
A lot of their stuff that they fall on is unpopular. The people that they're electing, or not even electing, that they're thrusting into their presidential candidates are unpopular.
You're not responding
if the Democrats
to the things I'm
were more
saying
popular.
Again, dude, I do believe that you're good faith, but I think that there's something like, and I don't usually say this sort of thing to my guests, and I'm going to say it to you just because I know you a little bit better and I've talked to you a lot. But I think that's something that you really need to focus on doing in these conversations is really like pick the claim and stay on it. Because what we're talking about right now is the question that you brought up, which is why did we elect a rapist instead of Kamala Harris? Like, how were we so tricked if that's the case? And what I'm saying is that it is not Kamala Harris's fault that the Republicans are playing dirty by spoon feeding the public misinformation by having a massively disproportionate control of all the media that people consume. And you're kind of sidestepping and moving on to all these other things. But do you recognize that if you look at who owns at the very top all of these things, it is right now, currently, people who support Trump, people who donate to his campaign funds, people who have gotten gifts from Trump as president where like he does things that are favorable to them. Trump's push for AI, very good for Jeff Bezos, very good for Mark Zuckerberg. Like he's doing things that immediately benefit them because they're doing something that immediately benefit him, which is a form of cronyism, which is a type of corruption that we see in authoritarian regimes. Like that's the topic right now. And you're moving on to all these other little things about like, who do the billionaires support politically? And I'm saying that as a matter of fact, there is this information control thing happening. You can just go look at who owns these companies, and it's people who literally sit at parties and eat expensive steaks with Donald Trump.
I'm going to go look at something real quick.
Okay, he's going to go look at something really, really quick. The chat is throwing, like, there's so many things, it's hard for me to just sit here and list them all, but he literally pardons these people of their crimes. Like, they'll commit financial crimes, and then he'll pardon them, and it just doesn't get noticed because we're so much more concerned with the Epstein files, which we haven't even talked about today, or Iran, which we haven't even really talked about today either. There's just so many illegal, crazy things going on that, like, it slips by that he pardoned some guy, and it's like, wait a minute, this guy defrauded a bunch of people for millions of dollars and went to prison for it. Why is the president pardoning that guy? And it's like, oh, well, that guy's people like run this company that's doing this thing that's beneficial to the Trump campaign. It's like the examples are so numerous. There's hundreds of these such people.
I just looked this up.
Yeah, what's up?
I looked up what percentage of news articles are pro-Trump. Over 92% of all news articles, according to the Pew Research Center. I don't know if that's good. According to them, 92% of the news articles that have anything to do with Trump are negative.
Right. Okay. That's not surprising at all. But the count of
when there's 92%,
I could post.
How is he more popular than VP Harris? 92% of his articles are negative.
Because I could swing that statistic by manufacturing a bunch of articles that technically count as pro-Trump, and then it would swing the statistic the other way. The number of articles about something is not a measure of public sentiment. It should demonstrate to you the fact that the media that want to talk about this are talking about the negative things that he's doing because he's doing a lot of negative things. The question isn't like why is it that percentage so big? The question is if that percentage is so big, why do you still not understand that he shouldn't be the president? You aren't being shown those articles. Your feed isn't showing you those articles. Your local news station isn't talking about what's talked about.
I see it on the news every day that people are talking negative about him. I see it every day that people are talking negative about him.
It's growing all the time. It's getting worse and worse and worse for him, and he is losing favor. But what I'm saying is that leading up to the election, the media coverage of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump was unfair in a way that is catastrophic and undemocratic.
Yeah. So what I'm saying now is
as the chat is pointing out,
you guys are not running against Trump. You guys are not. Yeah. You guys are not running against Trump again. You need to drop Trump. Forget Trump. You need to figure out what you're going to do
no.
in 2028.
Because whoever replaces Trump as like the center of Republican politics will inherit all of the precedent that has been set by Trump not being held accountable. So we have to hold Trump accountable, or the next guy is going to be just as bad, if not probably worse, because I don't think they're going to pick an overweight, senile 80-year-old as the next guy. They're probably going to pick a J.D. Vance that can appeal to some younger voters.
So how are you going to become more popular in that time then? Instead of saying Trump bad.
I am going to just answer this question, and then I'm going to move on for the day just because it's time for my stream to end. You are welcome to keep calling in, because how are we going to get him more popular? I'll tell you what I'm personally doing, which is that right now I'm sitting here and talking to you. I'm talking to you because I want to convince you. There's about 50 people listening. Some of them are on my team. Some of them are on your team. Everybody's learning. Everybody's hearing this conversation. And as I've pointed out a couple times today, I'm really crushing it on Instagram right now. I've gotten over 4 or 5 million views.
You, bud. That's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that you're happy for me. But what I'm saying is that I am very successfully amplifying my voice about this. And the reason that I'm succeeding in this social media effort is because I'm good at talking about this. It's because I'm knowledgeable and articulate, and I'm good at convincing people that this is a big problem. That's what I'm doing. That's my superpower in this. If I was inarticulate, I might go do something else. I might go find a different role to play. But because I'm articulate and educated and good at this debate thing, it's a great use of my time if I want the outcome that I just described.
Do you think Dean and Harry are articulate? Do you think Dean and Harry are articulate?
Dean Withers?
Yeah.
I don't know who Harry is.
Or Harry Sisson. Harry Sisson.
I don't know who Harry is. I'll have to look into them. I saw their name.
You don't know who Harry Sisson is?
Dude, I'm new at this. I just found Dean like a couple months ago.
Dean Withers.
I know who Dean Withers is.
Speaking out against Trump for years.
Yeah,
he's very, very popular.
Yeah, I've listened to a lot of Dean. I'm very familiar with Dean, and I know that I would say yes, he's very articulate.
Yeah. So if he's been out, there have been thousands of people that have been speaking against Trump since 2016. Hundreds of thousands, probably millions of people. I mean, there were protests during his first administration that showed that he was unpopular with some people, and yet he still got elected.
The number is always growing, which is why just a few weeks ago on No King's Day, we saw the biggest turnout ever for a protest.
Okay, so I am curious about this too. The No Kings protest, it's great. Practice your First Amendment right.
Yeah.
Protest. All for it. What are you guys accomplishing?
So the bigger those demonstrations are, the more attention it gets the issue, because a lot of people who attended their first No Kings rally this last time on the third No Kings Day that we had, attended because they saw coverage of previous events, and they saw a bunch of debate lives on TikTok and thought, oh my God, this is what's going on. This Oskar guy really knows what he's talking about. I Googled everything he said and it was all right. This is crazy. Trump is trying to be a king. We need to stop this. We need to protest this. So then they go, and this is the important part about the cherry on the top of everything I just said to answer your question, which is that it makes people more comfortable to get involved and participate in this if they see 100,000 people of all ages and varieties out in public supporting this thing that's happening. They recognize that it's a move. It's a thing that's socially acceptable. There are people whose entire families are MAGA who are afraid to mention that somebody like me or Dean Withers has convinced them that they're right, and that's a person who might go to a protest. And we're not at these numbers yet, but if 3 to 5% of a country's population protests on the same day, the historical outcome of that is almost always regime change. In that case, in American politics, that could happen by us following the rules and impeaching him, which is something that could happen after the midterms if enough people keep attending these protests. These protests having such good attendance is really good for voter turnout. It's really good for people voting for people who are going to go against this bad thing that's happening. It's literally an awareness campaign.
Yeah. So no kings. That's great. I don't think we should have a king in the United States. I agree with you. Don't think we should have a king at all. Don't think we should have a monarch.
Yeah, I'm just
saying.
saying.
What election did VP Harris win to become the presidential nominee?
We talked about this last time too, which is that you say that the primaries don't matter, but I say that she still was the candidate.
Even in her first primary, she received less than 1% of the vote when she ran against Joe Biden.
Yeah, but again, it's a unique situation, and
do you think that matters?
I think it matters that the person who we primaried for, which is Biden, had the decision about his candidate, and it is a novel situation in American history that we have to go, should she inherit the role,
so it's
even though the election
sometimes in some cases.
I'm saying
to not
that
have an election.
I already covered this with you so much in the previous call because you were arguing that the primary didn't matter when Bernie lost it in 2016. But what I said is that he lost the presidency because he lost the primary. And if Biden had lost the primary, then Kamala Harris wouldn't have become president because she wouldn't have been his running mate. So the primary did affect who the candidate was. We just had this totally novel situation. We've never had a presidential candidate drop out before. We kind of had to figure out how to deal with it. And there's a discussion to be had about that. But no, with 107 days left, it probably didn't make sense to start the process over.
There's been presidential candidates,
and she was unopposed. By the way, there was also no evidence that if there was a reprimary, anybody other than her would have won. She was completely unopposed.
Is there any evidence that she would have won?
Yeah, 75 million people voted for.
So that's speculation.
There were polls about it at the time.
Once again, like I said, if you guys want...
I remember now. There was polling data about public sentiment about who should take over, just like in the days after Biden stepped down, because she hadn't announced her candidacy until a few days later. And I'm not going to dig right now, but no, actually the among Democratic voters, that's exactly what we wanted. I'm not super excited about her as a candidate. I wasn't all that excited about her as a candidate, but the solution to the problem, holy shit, our presidential candidate just stepped down. We agreed should be Kamala Harris. And that's a novel situation, but you're sidestepping the whole point here, which is that again, it's just the last point I want to cover on before I sign off for the day, which is that the protests are good for awareness. So when I point out a statistic like the fact that over the course of the first year of Trump's current term, 1/3 of Americans flipped on the question, is the system of checks and balances working? It went from 1/3 of people, like myself at the time, who recognized that we had problems and that it was, it wasn't really working properly. That number is now 2/3 instead of 1/3. That's enormous. And we have things like Dean Withers and, to a smaller extent, myself, and No King's Day, and all the bad PR that the federal government has gotten by invading Minnesota and fucking with us. We, by the way, we have declared the W. ICE looks bad for having come to Minnesota. We, in general, made them look awful, and we lost some people along the way.
For enforced immigration law. Okay. Now,
just bad for civil liberties.
I'm going to see if you carry the same. I'm going to see if you carry the same energy with this. Okay.
Okay.
You said that he's becoming so unpopular that it's flipped.
That particular question is the system of checks and balances.
So Biden blew Trump out in 2020.
Yeah.
Blew him out.
Yeah.
And then. That was with VP Harris. That's their administration.
Yeah.
VP Harris was just younger female Biden. She had to be.
In terms of her policy decisions, we discussed this last week.
Yes, was clearly not very popular. Is clearly not very. So it's clearly not very popular.
Again, we already talked about. No.
And Trump became
You're doing
popular.
a thing that we already did in this call, which is you're blaming the Democrats for not like they're the victims of the Republicans playing dirty in the ways that I'm describing, and you're blaming the victim. Are they supposed to break the rules, the Republicans are breaking the rules? That's what I'm saying is happening. They're playing dirty in some very serious ways that I've explained to you, and your answer is still, well, why didn't the Democrats win? And the answer isn't anything that they did. It's that the Republicans are fucking playing dirty, and I don't want the solution to be for the Democrats to also play dirty. We should just stop playing so fucking dirty in politics and insist that our elected officials tell the truth.
Yeah. So the Democrats didn't lose because people didn't want VP Harris as president, or they didn't like Joe Biden.
Everybody had their own reasons, but what I'm saying is that
they were getting somewhere.
Right, but I'm saying that so
now
many.
We're starting to get to it.
What I'm saying is that the reason so many people thought that Trump was going to be a better president than Kamala is because of lies they have been told by the media. Like, I give an example. I'll say this line again because I want my audience, the 50 people still watching, to hear me say it this way, because I've listened to the clip a couple times on my Instagram, and I really love this line, and I'm going to keep saying it as long as I have my platform. Notice that it is not it is not economists who are worried about illegal immigrants. Notice that it is not sociologists. Notice that it is not the doctors. It's not the criminologists. It's not the social workers. It's none of those people, but it is pretty reliably racist and bigoted people who are worried about them. You have been lied to that they are dangerous or bad to the economy. They are simply falsehoods. And it is just because the Republicans are that good at lying because they control the media that people think that that issue is more important than the fact that Donald Trump is, for so many reasons, not a suitable president. He's literally a rapist. He's a convicted felon.
Is illegal immigration a good thing?
No.
Okay. That's what our issue is.
But we
our issue is not immigrants. It's illegal immigration.
But what I'm saying is that the president not following the Constitution is such a bigger problem than illegal immigration that allowing the president to not follow the Constitution in order to solve illegal immigration is bad.
Snake's eating its tail again, dude.
I'll give you an analogy. I can solve the termite infestation of your house. What we're going to do is burn it down.
Burn the house down.
Will I get rid of the termites?
Yep.
Is that a good way to fix your termite infestation?
If it's too far gone, yeah.
Right, and the fact that you think it could, the fact that you could say that it's too far gone and extend.
I have known people who have literally burned their house down because of termites.
Right,
I've seen that happen.
And what I'm saying, but that's not always a reasonable solution. If you notice it early and you say, "Oh, yeah, a little problem over here. We got to handle these termites."
If it's a little problem, yeah, but
right.
I would say
you're demonstrating that you literally think that the illegal immigrants are as bad as a termite infestation. That's so bad that you need to burn the house down, and that is just false.
We're not burning the United States down.
Yes, we are. We are not following. Yes, we are. We're not following the Constitution.
What has changed? So what has changed? So, because I'll tell you this. When I woke up the day that President Biden was replaced by President Trump, I'll even go as far as this. My life has not changed from Biden's presidency to from Biden's presidency to Trump's presidency. Not one thing in my life has changed.
Yeah, I know from talking to you that you're a person whose life isn't really difficult in the way that a great number of Americans' lives are difficult, and we've talked about this in the last call, dude.
What makes a life difficult, though?
Like worrying about paying for food, that makes life hard. I worry about paying for food sometimes. It's hard. I don't like that.
Okay, hang on a second. Hang on.
Yeah, dude. You don't struggle in the ways that a lot of Americans do, and a great number of Americans are struggling in ways that are going to be made worse by what Trump is doing. And you're sitting here talking about illegal immigration when, again, it's not the economists who want me to not struggle to buy groceries. It's not the sociologists who are worried about the state of society. It's not the criminologists who are worried about my safety. None of those people are worried about the illegal immigrants. Those people are worried about Trump, by the way. But the people who
want Trump to follow the law, but illegal immigration, you don't want that to be focused on as much.
So because
it's not an issue.
Well, being an illegal immigrant is a misdemeanor. It's just not that. It's just not that serious.
It's a law. It's you guys are supposed to be quote unquote the party of law and order.
Right, but
nobody's
your party
the law.
is breaking the law.
From your guys' own mouths, nobody is above the law. And when we try to hold people accountable, even if it's a misdemeanor, that's against the law.
Proportionality.
Speeding's against the law.
Right. But we shouldn't execute people who speed. But that would solve speeding, right?
Okay, proportionality.
Right. So that's what I'm talking about.
Any numbers that I have seen from the president to I don't know what the
allowing the president.
Any numbers that I have seen during the Biden presidency, there was anywhere from 3 to 100, or not 100, 3 to 10 million illegal immigrants that came across the borders during his presidency. I don't know what the number is.
Correct.
3 million is a pretty big. Yeah, 3 million is massive. That is a huge number.
Yeah, and it wasn't Biden's fault.
People
it
who
had
are
to do
breaking
with
the law.
Right. But what I'm saying is that
it's Mayorkas's fault. Mayorkas is a fucking American traitor. I'll tell you that much.
You're not recognizing the proportionality. What I'm saying is that if we're concerned about, we have to triage what we can focus on fixing right now. And illegal immigration.
So can we focus on 3 million people who aren't supposed to be here?
No. The guy
don't know who they are.
The guy running the country who's not obeying the Constitution. Way bigger problem. That's my argument.
So not knowing who 3 to 10 million people are in the United States.
Yeah.
Versus we know what President Trump is doing every day. We see what he's doing.
He has more power than all of those people. combined. Like those people aren't capable of making your life hard, but Trump is.
If you want to say we want to worry about some laws more than others, that's fine. If you want to say we want to enforce some laws and not enforce some other laws because
I'm not against immigration enforcement in general. I'm not against immigration enforcement in general. People always point out that Obama did like a lot of immigration enforcement, and people like me weren't that upset about it. And it's because he didn't do it by being an unconstitutional president. Trump is doing it by being an unconstitutional president. So here's the difference. Wait. I'm going to extend the analogy from earlier. The termite infestation, right? What Obama was doing was saying, all right, let's evacuate your family and your pets. Let's bag the house. Let's gas it. Let's like fix this. Trump is just throwing matches through the window and pouring gasoline around the property while your children are inside watching TV. Okay, that's the difference.
Trump is being unconstitutional with immigration enforcement. How?
Oh man, we've covered this so many times.
No, how?
I mean, okay, I'll give you some examples. He's allowing his DHS to support ICE agents entering homes without judicial warrants. That is a massive violation of people's... Oh, I always mix up the Fourth and Fifth. That's the Fourth Amendment. The fact that he supported the execution of Alex Preddy and called him a dangerous gunman, which is what he called him, when all he was doing was carrying a weapon he was legally allowed to carry on his belt and didn't touch it, that's a violation of the Second Amendment. The fact that people like Nick Sorter and Cam Higbee can walk free after violently assaulting people at the Whipple building is a violation of my First Amendment, along with all my friends who were there. Like, that's my First Amendment being taken away directly. I'm the victim in that example. But then we have a situation like we did on Saturday, where Savannah Hernandez admittedly gets assaulted in a very similar circumstance, but suddenly the FBI is investigating her. J.D. Vance is talking about it on the TV, and Kash Patel is after me, and I have to worry about the FBI knocking on my fucking door because I was involved in that, even though I saved her. I get death threats for helping her. Like this disproportionality is really bad. That's a violation of the First Amendment. He's selectively enforcing whether or not he cares if your First Amendment is violated on whether or not you agree with him, which is itself a massive violation of the First Amendment. So, like, I could keep yapping like this forever. You may have noticed I'm good. You've admitted I'm good at this. I can keep yapping forever, and I'm just saying that none of these things are justifiable in pursuit of this, what I consider to be largely a non-issue with illegal immigrants, because I actually ethically believe we should just change the law because they're benefiting our country to such a degree that the country would be better if we changed the law and allowed most of them to stay. I can't say it on TikTok, but I'm a musician. The thing I do in my free time when I'm sitting and playing my guitar, that was illegal for a long time, but we decided the country would be better if it wasn't, and that's actually a good thing that Trump did. He rescheduled it. He's rolling back the illegality of that substance.
So the people who went through our proper immigration procedures and received their citizenship and stuff like that, that would mean nothing to them now, because everybody who tried to jump the line and just not have to do any of that automatically get citizenship just because they're here. Okay, so does that make any sense?
No, it doesn't. You're being very noisy, so I'm going to mute you. I know you're outside. I know you're doing work, so I'm just going to mute you. But again, to just like go on my trees argument, trees is the word I'm going to use for that substance because I can't say the M word on TikTok. But like, are you going to argue that everybody who got amnesty for using trees in their private time is like, oh, we rewarded all these criminals? Oscar's such a criminal for doing that his entire adult life. Now he's allowed to do it and we're just letting him get away with it? Yeah, dude, because we make the country better as time goes on, and we decided that law was stupid and we shouldn't follow it. So we changed it, and that's better. So like, I'm saying that that's the case with immigration enforcement. I think
when are the Democrats going to come up and say, if you're here illegally, you get amnesty?
I mean, that's the sort of policy we might get if the midterms are free and fair, because Trump will be taken out of power, and the legislative branch is going to be largely blue, I think, if the midterms are free and fair. And yeah, we might end up with, I believe something dramatic should be done about illegal immigrants. What is it? An 8-digit number of illegal immigrants? Too many. I just don't think that deporting them is good for anybody, and I think that giving them amnesty is good for everybody. And then if we give them amnesty, we'd be so much better at catching the bad ones and deporting them, because I still support deporting. Like what I want to happen, if you were an illegal immigrant and you didn't have your documentation order, whatever it is, I want you to be given a packet that says, hey, this is the 2026 amnesty program for grandfathered in illegal immigrants. Obviously, everybody who's arriving at the country now has to like go through the process that we're also going to fix and make faster. But because you've been here before the law changed, here's your paperwork packet. You have until this date to get it done. You enter a probationary period that our lawmakers said is going to be this long. And if you don't commit any serious crimes, because, we're not going to deport you for a speeding ticket, but like, if you don't commit any serious crimes during that time, that'll put you on the track to citizenship. Like, we have to design a process that's better. What I'm saying is that something like that would be worlds better for the country than deporting the people who grow more than half of our food, which is what Trump wants to do.
Do you think that we don't allow very many people to become citizens?
The process is too long. It takes so many...
Do you know how many people are made citizens every year in the United States?
Plenty, but the issue isn't the number of people who are made citizens. It's that if I get to the border as a person who wants to become an American, the pathway to that happening is so long that the odds of me looking at what's behind me, what I just fled, and thinking, fuck this, I'm just going to hop the fence, are pretty good. And I really don't blame those people, because a lot of the places they're coming from are places that are very difficult to live. So I don't judge them for committing a misdemeanor to save their families from hardship.
We have... what the hell do you call it? Oh, good God. Now I'm having a brain fart. Okay. What the hell? Asylum laws.
Yep. Yeah,
you can claim asylum and be in the United States.
Trump is rolling those back. There are 700 Somali immigrants who had asylum status in Minneapolis, and Trump took their asylum status away. And now these are people who suddenly need to find a way to flee the country, or they're going to be at risk of ICE coming and deporting them to who knows where, maybe a torture camp in El Salvador. Trump did that. That's a thing that happened. Those are my neighbors I'm talking about. There are people who live in my neighborhood who were doing the process, who were here legally. They had their asylum status, because that's one of the ways. And Somalia, admittedly, sucks. It is a terrible place to live. So people flee that, and they come here, and they're doing the process right. And Trump says, nope, I don't like the 700 of you, because Nick Shirley made a video that accused a daycare that wasn't even committing fraud of daycare fraud, because there was a story about some real daycare fraud that he saw. That happened.
Like the Leering Center?
The Leering thing, big L. That's a gaffe, right? Like, somebody made a typo. It's terrible.
I am kind of curious on your view on this question. I just got to ask you a real quick question.
I just want you to recognize that it's bad what Trump did.
Somalia.
I will answer your question about Somalia after you tell me how you feel about what Trump did to those 700 Somali people who were here with asylum status.
Were they under like a temporary protection or something?
They were under. They were like pending asylum to be like begin the citizen process. They were doing the process that you're saying you want people to use.
So they were under asylum here.
Totally legally.
Removed.
Well, he didn't do anything to remove them. He just made their legal status no longer legal. He just declared them illegal so that ICE can go after them, even though they were doing the process. Why?
Yeah, I don't know why he would do that.
Because he's racist and bigoted and wants to sow discontent and hatred among people. And he knows that his followers are going to think that all 700 of those Somali people are fraudsters, because he amplifies the voices of such nincompoops as Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley, debate me. You're not good at speaking English. You will look bad if you debate me, and that's why you're not going to debate me, Nick Shirley. Come on my show, Nick Shirley. I'm ready for you. Anyway, he amplifies...
I want to ask you a question about the whole Somali thing.
How do you... wait, I want you to... was it a good or bad thing that Trump deleted these people's legal status for no reason other than...
If he unconstitutionally did that, it would be bad.
You're okay with him doing it if it's constitutional? I'm just saying it's bad because those people had their lives fucked with in a really serious way. They were trying to live the American dream.
Just because you tell me that he did things this way, you said it themselves. Everybody has their own bias.
I got a live restriction for harassment and bullying. That's okay. I don't even know what I said.
You have it. You've said it yourself. Everybody has their own bias in saying what they're saying. Just because you tell me that he did this way because of this does not mean that is the entire truth.
There were people. But that's not my opinion. There were people who were following the legal process, not an opinion. They were totally legal. They were legal residents, not citizens, but legal residents. They were pending their asylum cases.
Yep.
Trump decided that he didn't want what they were doing to be legal anymore. So he made illegal immigrants out of legal immigrants, which I will remind you makes them pretty easy to catch because ICE knows who these people are because they're not undocumented. They were following the process. We know their home addresses. So now these are just some people that that ICE now has the right to go and snatch because the law went into effect recently. I'm asking you if you think that was a nice thing for the president to do, and if you think that generally those 700 people deserve to have that happen to them. I'm not asking what you think about the constitutionality of it.
So in a whole with the 700 people, I don't know why he did that. If he came out and said, "I'm removing your protected status just because you're Somalians," I wouldn't support that.
You're giving
That's
him
horrible.
I don't know why you're giving him the benefit of the doubt on that. I cannot think of a good reason to do that. Somali Americans, by the way, like the Somali community here in Minneapolis, they are among immigrants. They are disproportionately not illegal immigrants. They are disproportionately non-criminal, like in generally, like the Somali immigrant population in Minneapolis has like assimilated in the ways that we want them to. They contribute to our economy. They run our restaurants. They like, you know, like people will say, oh, they commit daycare fraud, and it's like, yeah, there's a bunch of them. Some of them are criminals. That's true of every population, but there's no evidence to suggest that they are overrepresented as fraudsters. And actually, 100% of the people who sit at the Resolute desk in the Oval Office are fraudsters. That's a very high rate of fraud because President Trump is a convicted fraudster. He was convicted for 34 felonies that were a type of fraud. And he's going after people who are like running restaurants and like trying to live their lives. You're muted. I don't know if it's noisy where you are, but yeah.
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. So, all right. No, I'm not moving the goalpost, or I'm not trying to change the subject, but I am curious about this because you live in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, right?
Yeah, and I actually really appreciate your general curiosity about me. You ask me a lot of good faith questions, and I appreciate that for when you're on my show.
So, is Omar one of your representatives?
Yes.
Now, I watched her in a speech say, "I'm going to vote for the best interests of America and Somalia."
I think it's important when there's a large immigrant population for them to get their fair share at representation. And because of the way our representative democracy works, that's not always going to be like perfectly proportioned to how many of them there are. For example, I wouldn't be opposed to there being a Somali governor once in a blue moon, you know? Like, make sure that we cover some policies that are good for those people.
What I'm saying is, do you support her saying she's going to vote in the best interest of Somalia?
Not Somalia, Somali Americans.
No, she had said Somalia.
I would argue that if she said that, she misspoke. She's talking about her constituents. She's talking about the Somalians here. Somali people here. Somalians isn't the right word. I always mix that up.
I apologize. I know you said you had to leave. I do have to leave, so I got to let you go.
Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, thanks for talking, Iowa golfer.
Yep.
Yeah, well, see, it always happens where I get an interesting call and then I stick around, and now I'm still going to stick around for 3 more minutes and talk to you guys, because then I'll get 3 hours, and that's like a thing for my TikTok live rewards, is if I like the number of hours is good, and I'm 2.5 minutes away from 3 hours instead of 2 hours. Yes or no in the chat? Do you think Iowa golfer's good faith? I really believe he is. I have a lot of like you know, most people I think on my social media think he is, but I have some people saying that he's just like not, and he's refusing to listen. I don't think he's realizing he does it when he like ignores everything that I say and then asks a new question. It's a little like I want to like snap my fingers in front of him and like be like, come on back to the table. We were talking about this, and that's just the skill of like running these lives. Cash says no, he's a sea lion. Is that a term for like a type of dishonest debate? I don't know. Is that a TikTok term? I don't know. Lacey McPherson says mostly. Yeah, I think so. Mama Avery, whose opinion I weigh heavily because she's a friend of the show and a moderator. Yeah, I do think he's good faith. I just think he's like, he's probably, maybe he's still listening, so I hope he doesn't mind me just like talking about him like this, but I do think he's like deep in that brainwash hole where like the but Biden, but Democrats, but Kamala. It's like, no, dude. Like again, if I tell you that the Republicans lied to you and tricked you into voting against Democrats, don't ask me why the Democrats made that happen. Address the fact that the Republicans lied to you. That's the important thing. That's the lost in the sauce, says Mama Avery. And yeah. Diavatalk says, I think it's because he's not insufferable. He isn't insufferable. And he has on a few occasions where I've poked through, just admitted that what I said was right. He's like conceded enough arguments to me that suggests to me that, you know, he's trying, he's listening, he's trying to understand what I'm saying. Iowa golfer's in the chat. He says, if it was the Democratic Party of 30 years ago, I would be a Democrat 1,000%. Yeah, I think that the Democratic Party, like here, yeah, that again, I think is like a good faith thing for you to say, Iowa golfer. But the problem is that you're just wrong about how different the Democratic Party is now versus 30 years ago in comparison to how different the Republican Party is now from 30 years ago. I'd rather vote for Republicans from 30 years ago than Trump. Like, I would love for Bush to be president. That would be so much better than JD Vance. Like that's fine. I think that it's this media thing. I think you've been convinced that Democrats have like fallen from grace in some horrible way, and really what's happened is that the Republicans are playing dirty. The Democrats have not started playing dirty to the same degree, and that makes us look bad. Because I sit here and do it where people play dirty with me on here. They use dishonest debate tactics, and it's way harder to look good even if you're right when the person you're debating is using dishonest debate tactics, which I generally don't accuse you of, Iowa golfer, but a lot of my callers do that. So I have to work really hard against the grain because I could just make shit up. I could just lie. I could just dunk. I could use fallacies that the audience isn't going to catch. There's a bunch of dishonest things I could do to be more successful at like getting the W in these debates. But if I start with a foundation of intellectual integrity where I'm not going to say anything that I don't believe literally to be true, suddenly that puts a bunch of tactics off the table, and that's what's going on, dude. The Republicans are able to do whatever the hell they want because they don't value their integrity. It doesn't matter to them. So they're just, of course, they're playing the game on easy mode, while the Democrats, like I have to on my live, are then playing on hard mode, working against the grain. I had somebody say in my comments it's harder to catch all the shit that somebody's throwing at the wall behind you than to throw all that shit at the wall. And that's exactly what it feels like to do this. Thanks for the hat and mustache. Who was that? Oh, Iowa golfer. I love that he's a friend of the show. Like, it's so cool. I do have like a half dozen like repeat callers who are Trump supporters who just recognize that I'm arguing in good faith. So I'm the guy they want to talk to. And I feel like he's even sending roses. Iowa golfer, I appreciate you. Because yeah, I feel like I've gotten you to budge on certain things. And I do appreciate that you just recognize that I'm knowledgeable, I couldn't sit here and lie all day. My audience wouldn't allow it because we have integrity on the left. More frequently than on the right. Anyway, that puts us over 3 hours. So please visit the link tree in my bio. Please support me in the free ways that you can by following me on all 3 platforms that I use: YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. That's like hugely helpful. And obviously, like I said, I always forget because I get Venmo donations now sometimes that I should check my Venmo, and if there are any new donations on there, which is not probable. Not probable. Can't talk. No new donations, no messages to read. But see ya, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. And yeah, I'm sure we'll talk to Iowa golfer again. He's an interesting guest. You guys have a lovely day.